Today is the 80th running of the great race, and 33 cars will fly over the same bricks at the start-finish line that were laid here for the first race in 1911. It was a huge event then. It's even bigger today, the largest single-day sporting event in the world. Indy is the premier race in the sport of oval track racing, a dynamic mix of technology, skill, and danger. Flying over those historic bricks, drivers have become the heroes of American racing. Ray Haroon won that first race. Louis Meyer became the first three-time winner. A.J. Foyt, the first to win 4 times. Rick Mears equaled that record. For Mario Andretti, his 1969 victory would be his only one at Indianapolis. The Unsers, Bobby, Al Sr., and Little Al have combined for 9 victories in the last 28 years. But this race will be run in large part by a new breed of performer, the drivers of the Indy Racing League. Buzz Calkins, young, sharp. He raced against his father to develop his skills. He won the RL's first race back in January on the Walt Disney World circuit. Tony Stewart, a 3-division USAC Oval champion, faces tremendous pressure today. As an Indy rookie, he will start on the pole after his teammate, Scott Brayton, was fatally injured last week in practice. This man is the fastest in Speedway history. Arie Luyendyk qualified at nearly 237 miles an hour. He is the only driver in today's race to have won the 500. Today's winner may be unfamiliar to you now, but tomorrow his name will be in headlines in every newspaper in America. Like others before him, he will drink cold milk from a bottle in Victory Lane. His likeness will go on the famous Borg-Warner Trophy, and he will join Haroon, Foyt, Mears, the Unsers, and Mario Andretti as a champion of the Indianapolis 500. Live, ABC's Wide World of Sports presents the 80th running of the Indianapolis 500-mile race. Well, it was raining early this morning at the Speedway, but it stopped about 7:30, and you can see and hear the jet dryers that are on the track almost completing their job of getting the track surface clear as they pass by just a few feet away. There's one of them there, a jet engine spraying exhaust out to help dry that track. There are many stories here today back in the garage area. For example, what about the rookie pole sitter, Tony Stewart?
Well, when he was just 8 years old, he first dreamed about being a part of the Indianapolis 500. And last year, this young man got a chance to be part of Eddie Cheever's race day pit crew, but Cheever's first lap crash left Stewart out of work. Today, in just 56 minutes, this young man will lead the field down for the 80th running of the Indy 500 and not only go to work, but fulfill his dream. Tony, your thoughts?
I'm just ready to go race, and this has been a long month and a lifelong dream of mine, and the hard part's just sitting here waiting. We got 50 some odd minutes left, and the waiting is the hard part. And this is what I've waited for 17 years, so I'm just ready to get going.
Good luck to you.
And thanks.
In the more than 80-year history of this great race, no one has ever gone faster than this man, Arie Luyendyk. But his record-shattering run in qualifying came on the second day. Consequently, he starts 20th today instead of from the pole. Arie, how apprehensive are you about starting this far back in the field?
Well, anytime you start a 500-mile race at a speedway in the middle of the pack, it's never really that good because back there's a lot of turbulence. You don't get air on your wings, and the wings are very small anyway on the speedway, so it could create a problem, so we have to be extra careful.
It should be a spectacular charge from deep in the pack.
The slowest starter in today's field may have sacrificed the most to get here. Rookie Scott Harrington has spent every available penny to finance his team. He sold his vintage '77 Porsche along with fiancée Tracy's Mustang. Over the past 3 weeks, they've maxed their credit cards, received an eviction notice, and had the power shut off in their apartment. Scott, you're less than an hour from the start of your first Indy 500. Was it all worth it?
Absolutely. It's the realization of a lifelong dream for us, and I would do it all over again 10 times over. I mean, I'm a race car driver. That's what I do, and that's what I came here to do, and I'd do it again in a heartbeat.
It's just that simple. It's Indy, so it's always worth it.
Well, as we continue to try and dry the track, we just checked with the chief steward of the race, Keith Ward, and he says they are planning still to go right on time. Track is looking like it will be dry. So you've just heard from 3 incredible men, 3 tales of success. There is so much happening at Indy this year, so many interesting topics. Another one of those topics is the Indy Racing League, started by the Indianapolis Motor Speedway president, Tony George. Now, today's race is a part of the league, which has already contested 2 events this year at Walt Disney World and at Phoenix. Today, the first IRL champion will be determined. Now, the sport of IndyCar racing is very much in transition. Speedway president Tony George, whose family owns the track, announced the formation of the Indy Racing League with the stated intentions of bringing more opportunity to young drivers and teams by reducing the cost of participation through a series of rule changes and maintaining the heritage of oval track racing. The league then conditionally reserved 25 of the 33 starting positions in the 500 field for IRL point scoring cars, provided they meet a minimum speed which was subsequently set at 220 miles an hour. Now, CART, referred to as IndyCar, objected to those rule changes, and as a result, some familiar names have opted instead to race today in Michigan. So, who is here? Well, it's a mixture of new faces, 17 rookies, 16 veterans, representing an accumulated 75 years of Indy experience, and it includes 1 previous winner. Now, included in the list of veterans was the name of Scott Brayton. Scott was well-liked and highly regarded with a broad, easy smile. 14 times he took the green flag here, but he only led a single lap in 1985. Last year, he sat on the pole. He repeated that feat this year in a bold move. Just before the final gun on pole day, Brayton withdrew an already qualified car in row 2 so he could run for the top spot. Never in the history of the race had a second-row qualifier been withdrawn. Well, time was now spent basking in glory. Scotty was everywhere, signing autographs, giving interviews, telling racing stories to anyone who would listen, and many did. Well, Scott Brayton was a happy man. His smile and childlike exuberance was infectious. Much of his joy came from racing. It made him special. He could skillfully do what few others could, and he knew it. He was a one-man festival. He loved running at the Speedway. A week ago Friday, that love took his life in a single-car accident in turn 2. He leaves behind a wife, Becky, a 2-year-old daughter, Carly, a close family, and thousands of friends and admirers. A sad emptiness filled the Speedway. Scott Brayton, the gentle, smiling man from Coldwater, Michigan, the pole sitter of the 80th Indianapolis 500, will be missed by us all.
Running of the Indianapolis 500. This special presentation on ABC's Wide World of Sport is brought to you by the new Dodge. We're thinking ahead. Original Coors, pure and simple, the last real beer. Valvoline Durablend, the #1 selling semi-synthetic motor oil. And Goodyear, #1 in tires.
The IRL booth, in the Racing League booth. John, before you get here a minute, man, there's something else going on.
Dennis is on the backup. Dennis is on the backup.
We're back here at Indianapolis. You know, I've started this race 12 times. When you come out of turn 4 and you look down that straightaway to take a green flag, there's nothing like it. You're going down there at 230 miles an hour. There's cars all around you, 33 of them, the massive crowd and the turbulence. And it's an experience like none other. And you got to get through that turn 1. If you make it through turn 1, of course, the next most important corner is turn 2. And high above turn 2 is my colleague, 3-time winner, Bobby Unser.
Well, Danny, here in turn 2, things happen really quick. Often, what happens here dictates the outcome of the race. But on this track today, I think concentration is going to be the single most important factor. Just think, more than 1/2 of the drivers have never completed a 500-mile race here at Indy. And if a driver loses his concentration for even 1 second at these speeds, he's going to be in trouble. And most likely now, that trouble is going to be an accident. Jack?
Bobby, consider this fact as well. At the drivers' meeting, all the drivers were told, be sure to watch your mirrors. Why? Well, how about 220-mile-an-hour cars in the back of the grid? Danny Ungaia's taking over for the late Scott Brayton, starts 33rd. But this man in second-day qualifying set a new track record with this car, driven today by Arie Luyendyk. Now, he is going to be flanking another driver, Jim Guthrie, who qualified on the first day. How fast is Guthrie? 14 miles an hour slower than Arie Luyendyk Lyondike starting back in position number 20. Look for Lyondike for sure, and maybe Ungaius to carve to their way to the front. Gary?
The newly resurfaced racetrack here at Indianapolis is billiard table smooth. It's lightning fast, and every one of the drivers seems to agree they get more grip out of this racing surface than at any time in recent memory. But there is one significant thing missing. In years past, you could clearly see the rubber buildup in the groove around the 2.5 miles. A road map, if you will, particularly beneficial for young drivers. It's not there, and what rubber had been laid down washed away by heavy overnight rains. You can't help but wonder, is that going to be something that will favor a driver who has significant experience in this race? Jerry?
For the second consecutive year, there are two competing tire companies here at Indy. Both Goodyear and Firestone have developed radically new designs with much improved grip. Now, Firestone says they're fast. Goodyear counters and says, hey, we're consistent. They may both be right, but it'll take 500 miles to see which philosophy will pay off today.
Now let's take a look at the fastest field in the 80-year history of Indy. 89 100ths of a second faster than last year. The speed differential from the fastest to the slowest is 14.8 miles an hour. We'll start our review in the last row. No one has ever won from the 11th row, which has two rookies and a veteran who hasn't raced here in 10 years. That veteran is Danny Ungaius. Danny's the oldest starter at age 54. He's driving the car, qualified on the pole by Scott Brayton. The rules require it start in last place after a driver change. Kentucky's Scott Harrington sold his personal car to make the race. He wrecked one machine, but with another car, he slipped in with just 23 minutes to go. On the short tracks of the Northeast, he's known as 00 Joe. Joe Gosick is from Oswego, New York, where he learned his craft in cars carrying 00. He's won the big three major super-modified events. Today, the car number is 43. Moving ahead to row 10, Hidesi Masuda is in his third Indy. He qualified with just 35 laps of practice in a 2-year-old race car. Johnny O'Connell holds a degree in economics from Denison. The last 6 years, Johnny's been a factory driver for Nissan with great success. He's the advanced wave for the Nissan engine program coming to the 500 next year. Fermin Velez is the first Spaniard in the race. At age 17, he became the youngest Spanish go-kart champion. 2 wins have come from his 28th starting place, the furthest back for a 500 win. The 9th row reflects the diversity of the field. Veteran Johnny Parsons Jr. first came here in 1974. He's a Speedway legacy. Johnny's father won Indy in 1950 in a rain-shortened race. The last time the 50-year-old JP drove here was 1986. In 11 races, he's never finished 500 miles. In 72, Brad Murphy was Arizona State champion in bronc riding. All of his 6'1" frame says cowboy. His racing career began in an NHRA funny car, on to Trans Am and Indy Lights. Today, he's in for a wild ride in number 10. If you want your son to drive at Indy, give him a zippy name like Racing Gardner. But it's his middle name that's racing. His full name is Slick Racing Gardner. Outside row 8 is the 24th starting spot. No one has ever won from there. Paul Durant has been racing super-modifieds and sprints in the West for a decade. He's just one racing lap in an Indy car, and he's never done a pit stop and never raced with mirrors. Robbie Buell starts 23rd. In 1972, a 6-year-old Robbie was here for his first 500. By 92, he was the Indy Lights champion. Robbie has been commended by Congress for his almost daily work with the Racing for Kids program for sick children. This year, he led at both IRL events. Brazil's Marco Greco is an Indy sophomore. His career began as a 500cc motorcycle racer.
A year ago, this man woke up early in the morning to watch the ABC telecast after wrestling a super modified for 150 laps at Oswego Speedway. Joe Gosick, the leader of the short track crowd here. And Joe, how much are the hopes and the dreams of short track racers across America on your shoulders today?
Well, there's probably a lot of people watching this race today just because of me, and I appreciate all the people that are behind me throughout the country and the Northeast. This is an incredible feeling to be here, and now today is race day, and I just can't sum it up in even a few words. It's an incredible experience, and I guess it's going to be a lot different when I get out there on the grid and get ready to roll.
Indianapolis Motor Speedway officials say this man received more mail, faxes, and phone calls about what he was doing in qualifying than any driver in the 80-year history. Gary?
Well, the name Danny Ungais has always been synonymous with speed, and here he is after a 10-year absence from this race, back, starting at the tail end of the pack. Danny, you've been out of this type of racing for so long. What are you feeling right now?
Normal race morning jitters here. Some butterflies and some anxiety.
Any concerns?
None whatsoever.
He's back. He's always been fast. He's in a fast car, starting from the back of the pack. Paul?
And we'll certainly be keeping an eye on him. There is the crowd in the pit area. They're getting ready to roll the cars out onto the racetrack and put them in position for the start. Number 5 has appeared in the most times in the history of the race. 72 times there has been a car 5. 6 times car 5 has won. Last time with Rick Mears, and our partner Danny Sullivan also carried number 5. Today, Arie Luyendyk carries that number. Keeping that in mind as we look at the drivers in the middle of the starting field. The center of the 11 rows of 3 can get very crowded on the start. Row 7 has accounted for 5 different winners. 28-year-old Scott Sharp is outside row 7. His father, Bob, was a great American road racer. In fact, Scott won a championship in a car his dad raced 25 years earlier. Today, the man who nearly won at Phoenix is driving for A.J. Foyt. Arie Luyendyk is the only previous winner in the field. His win is still an Indy race record. This year, the Flying Dutchman set the 1- and 4-lap track records. Unfortunately, his run came on day 2 of time trials, so he is lined up behind first-day qualifiers. Arie won the latest IRL race at Phoenix. New Mexico's Jim Guthrie is a graduate to the IRL from the USAC Formula 4 2000 series. The race at Phoenix is his only IndyCar run where an accident ended his day. Every position in row 6 has seen winners. Lynn St. James is a veteran of 4 500s and a former Rookie of the Year. Her best finish was 11th in '92. She loves anything daring, like her ride in an Air Force F-16 with the famous Thunderbirds.
Upside down. Oh my God.
3439, Miami Center, roger.
All right, nothing to it.
She is only the second woman to drive in the race. Janet Guthrie was the first. In the center of the row is John Paul Jr. He won the first race he ever drove and the '83 Michigan 500. This is his 6th Indy. Faces of the Unser family are all over the Borg-Warner Trophy. Will the latest addition be 37-year-old Johnny Unser? His father, the late Jerry Unser, was the first of the clan to race the Brickyard. Johnny's experience extends from a road rally near the Arctic Circle to the 24-hour of Le Mans. 7 of the 79 victories were started in row 5. Outside is rookie Richie Hearn, but like most 500 rookies, Hearn comes here a champion from another series. The 25-year-old has been winning races since he was 8. Last year, Richie was wrapping up the Atlantic Championship. Hearn qualified second quick in both IRL events earlier this season. Mark Dismore from nearby Greenfield, Indiana, is a major retailer of go-karts, driving one of the 4 cars for John Menard. He's the comeback kid of the Speedway. In 1991, he was involved in this horrific crash. Mark then spent 5 years recovering from a broken neck, feet, wrist, and kneecap. His personal moment of triumph came in trials when he put his car in the 14th starting spot. Frenchman Stéphane Grégoire had never been in an Indy car until he took the trophy as the fastest rookie in '93. That was his only Indy, but nevertheless, he managed to lead a single lap. Row 4 has only accounted for 3 winners, 1 for each spot. Outside is Michele Alboreto. He may be a rookie here, but 5 times he's won in Formula 1. His first win came in the United States, driving at the Caesars Palace Grand Prix. At Walt Disney World, he finished 4th. At Phoenix, 8th. For Mike Groff, racing is a family affair. His dad helped rent cars for Mike and his brother Robbie since they were kids. In the quarter midgets, he won 200 of 250 starts. This is his 3rd Indy, but he's never gone further than 200 miles. Idaho's Davey Hamilton comes to Indy with years of racing in the sprints and supermodifieds, netting 9 supermodified championships. Today he starts inside the 4th row in the same car Eddie Cheever crashed on lap 1 last year.
Driver Lynn St. James stands back in her garage with car owner Barbie Seaver. And Barbie, you give up a successful career as a stockbroker to venture into motorsports. Why?
My partner, Toby O'Connor, introduced me to the sensory feast of auto racing, and the challenge and excitement of it just got me hooked.
Lynn, how different is this start than the 4 previous ones here?
Well, other than having a co-owner that is female and also having a team owner that's female, co-team owner, it really isn't any different. I've got a lot of women behind me. I've always had that, but it's still a race. I got to win it, and my focus is on that clearly.
These two truly epitomize the spirit of American women. Gary?
Well, 35 different times in his amazing career, this man, A.J. Foyt, strapped himself into a race car, challenged this place for 500 miles, but now he's a car owner, and here's his core of drivers. You got Davey Hamilton and Marco Greco and Scott Sharp all patiently waiting to get out. A.J., what kind of advice have you given this trio?
Well, I just told them the race is 500 miles long, and actually you can make all kind of race strategy, but we're going to make it as the race goes on. That seemed to be the best way to do it through the years I've been here. I've always had race strategy, and about the time you make it, everything changes real quick. So I've talked to them and just said, you know, you're your own boss out there, and they've got to make the decisions yourself.
AJ's won it 4 times. Now he wants to win it the first time as a car owner. Jack?
Gary, if a driver has handling problems during the course of the race, during a pit stop, he'll come in, his crew will twist on these, changing the angle of attack on the front wings. The man that's going to get a chance to talk about the handling today after a 5-year up and down journey is Mark Dismore. Mark, after everything that's happened to you, is this a vindication?
Somewhat, but hopefully I'll get full vindication at the end of 200 laps, Jack. I mean, you know, I've got a real shot at this deal. I mean, the whole team Menard has a shot at this deal, and I'm one of the 4, so I feel real good about my chances here.
Paul?
Mark Dismore, one of the great stories here. There's Eddie Cheever, his teammate. They still say we're going to start those engines right on time, though still the cars sit back in the pit area. We'll be right back.
On Thursday, the Coors Pit Stop Challenge showcased Roberto Guerrero and Davy Jones in the final. Each crew changes 4 tires and simulates a fuel hookup. The winner is determined by the shortest time taken in the pit box. In a tightly contested battle, the Guerrero pit crew was efficient, but the Gallus team completed their stop in just 14.176 seconds, taking home the total first place prize of $35,000.
Designated as one of America's national landmarks, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Museum keeps alive the history of the Indianapolis 500. Come visit with us and find out why the 500 is the greatest spectacle in racing.
That's the Borg-Warner Trophy and the likeness of last year's champion Jacques Villeneuve. He, of course, is not here today. He races in Formula One, and that's not unusual. 13 times the defending champion has not reappeared in the following year. In the 80-race history, 633 drivers have started, but only 56 have won. The 17 rookies in the field are the fastest group ever, with a combined average of over 226 miles an hour. Here is a final look at the field, the front rows. 50 of the 79 race wins have come from the front 3 rows. Outside row 3 is Denver's Buzz Calkins, the IRL points leader. He made history by scoring the first win of the IRL at Walt Disney World. That was his first victory since '94 in a Tasman Atlantic car. His mount is the same one he used to win that inaugural event. Mexico City's Michel Jourdain Jr. is just 19 years old. This picture, taken in his father's car, was just 10 years ago. His uncle Bernard was a co-rookie of the year in '89. Alessandro Zampedri from Italy finished 11th last year in his only start. His car is the one driven in the last race by Lynn St. James and crashed on the first lap. Row 2 is the most experienced row in this year's field. Outside the row is Roberto Guerrero, whose track record from '92 wasn't broken until this year. In '87, he stalled on his last pit stop while leading the race. Second was all he could manage. But in 11 starts, 4 times, he's finished in the top 4. Buddy Lazier was the IRL's first pole sitter. In practice for the Phoenix race in April, mechanical failure sent him flying into the wall. 8 vertebrae in his back were broken, but still, with much therapy and a special shock-absorbing seat, he's ready. 6-race veteran Eddie Cheever led 9 laps in '92 and finished 4th. The shy but well-spoken Cheever is from Aspen. Last year, he drove for A.J. Foyt and crashed on the first lap. 34 race wins have come from the front row. Outside is Chile's Eliseo Salazar, 4th last year in his only 500. In this crash in practice in Orlando, he broke his leg when it was punctured by a suspension part. The 40-year-old sports car veteran exercised constantly to be in shape for today's race. He feels he's in the best starting spot in the field. 10 have won from outside the front row. Davy Jones may not look it, but he's a 4-race veteran at age 31. When he started at the Speedway in 1987, he ran 208 miles an hour as the fastest rookie. Pole sitter Tony Stewart turned 25 last Monday. His 6 years in USAC have been spectacular. Last year, he took the championship in midgets, sprints, and the Silver Crown Series. 15 times, more than any other spot, the race has been won from the pole. But neither of the 2 previous rookie pole sitters were able to take the win. Well, there's Arie Luyendyk, of course, the fastest racer in the field this year. He holds the 1 and the 4-lap record at the Indianapolis 500, and he holds the race record. So he has a lot on the line today and hopes for his second victory. Now, as you can probably tell, they have begun warming up the cars, and they've done it on the pit road. Let's go to Jerry Punch.
Well, Paul's still recovering from that injury in Orlando. This driver still needs a cane to walk, but Eliseo Salazar, by your own admission, last year you drove a very conservative race and finished 4th. How will you change your approach or your goals here today?
Well, Jerry, I feel that today being on the front row, we have a very good car, so we're going to go for it. You know, it doesn't mean we're going to go too aggressive, but I think we have a very good chance to win the race, so we're going to try to do it.
Arie Luyendyk may be the prohibitive favorite, but this guy has to be the sleeper. Gary?
In his previous years in the Indy 500, Davy Jones never started any further forward than the 10th row, but here he is today in the middle of row number 1. And Davy, a great starting spot. How do you assess your chances of winning this race?
Well, we certainly have everything going for us. You know, all month long, the Delco Electronics Gallus high-tech team has really given me the backings that I need to be competitive, and it certainly shows when we're on the track. You know, I'm not sure. It's been a few days since I've been in the car and at speed, so, you know, naturally I'm going to use the first few laps to just try and feel the balance in the car, and if it's not right, we'll work with it through the pit stops, but we want our strongest at the end.
We look forward to watching you run. Have a good one.
Thanks, Gary.
Let's go to Jack.
Gary, right here is the gear shift that Buzz Calkins will use to come up through the gears for the start of this race. Buzz Calkins, class of '93 at the University of Colorado, has brought along a friend, the head football coach for the Colorado Buffaloes, Rick Neuheisel, who will serve on his pit crew. And first of all, Rick, you've been here before, but not as a pit crew member.
Never like this. He was on the sideline for our Cotton Bowl. I'm on his sideline today, but I guarantee you I'm more nervous than he was.
What about nerves? How important is patience going to be, Buzz?
I mean, I think that's everything to this race. You got to take your time and stay out of trouble, especially the first couple laps, but it's 500 miles, and so you got to be there at the end, and staying out of trouble is the big part to that.
Paul, a year ago, this man was in Monaco watching a Formula One race.
Well, in the pit area right now, they're getting ready with the final warm-up. Very important to get those engines warmed. There's Buddy Lazier's car not far behind us, and you can see the crew huddled over it, taking a look at the engine. It's extremely important on these engines to get them warmed up perfectly before they really fire them ready to go racing. And very shortly, they'll be moving the cars out onto the straightaway and line them up ready for the start of the 500. There is the Dodge Viper pace car that will lead the field around toward the green flag. They have just made a track inspection of the track, and from most points of view, it looks like it is in good shape and ready to go as the car makes its way down through the pit area. Let's go to Jerry Punch.
Paul, x-rays of this driver's lower spine resemble a shattered shell from a broken egg. Buddy Lazier, 16 fractures, 25 bone fragments. How painful is that, and can you possibly endure 500 miles?
Yeah, we have a seat that was specially made by Dr. Brock Walker, and I work very closely with the Stedman Hawkins Clinic, Dr. Sterrett, and yeah, we're in good shape. We should be able to complete the race. I'm the most comfortable when I'm in the race car.
Well, let's show you why he's more comfortable in the car. We'll go over and actually show you that special seat. Now, it actually is a seat to help support his lower spine. It is actually sort of like a banana-shaped seat to give his lower lumbar sacral spine, where all those bone fragments are, extra support. And as he said, he is more comfortable in the car than trying to get in, but it'll take courage for him to be able to sit down in this car and try to make it 500 miles. Jack?
Jerry, this is the bulletproof Lexan windshield above which Eddie Cheever will peer out at his teammate Tony Stewart from row 2 as Stewart brings the field down. For Cheever, it's been a very quiet month. Good speed, but we haven't heard a lot from you.
I did that on purpose. The payday is today. I had a very difficult beginning of the season in Orlando and Phoenix with all those accidents, so I just wanted to make sure I qualified well, and it's 500 miles. It's a long way to go.
As a driver, with the tumultuous month of May that your entire team has had, how hard has it been to dial all of that out this race day morning?
The things that happened to us this month you never actually get rid of. But the Indianapolis 500 is a race that we all prepare for every year, and I think Scott will be doing the same thing that we are all doing here right now. We're trying to make sure that one of us wins the race. So it is difficult, but this is a racer's dream, driving at the best racing circuit in the world in front of I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of people. This is what racing is all about.
Paul, Indy is Indy.
Well, and now we're getting that much closer to actually starting this race, though we're going to be probably a few minutes late. You can see the very first car, Roberto Guerrero's, has made its appearance out on the front straightaway. The Purdue University All-American Band is out there right now. And many of the other cars that are here in the pit area have already begun to move to their assigned starting positions. Front straightaway here at Indianapolis. At the same time, moving to it should be a fantastic. Will stay away. So looking ahead to that day, Danny Sullivan, Bobby Unser, starting with Danny, what do you think?
Well, Paul, my biggest concern today would be running with these other guys. I don't know them. I don't know their personalities. I don't know their style. I don't know how they drive. Veterans and rookies alike, very few of these guys have raced together. And at 230 miles an hour, you need to know what that other guy's going to do in a tight situation. And that's what I'd be concerned about today. Bobby?
Well, Danny, add to that the fact that a lot of these drivers have been getting advice for the entire month of May from the officials, from the team members, and even from the other drivers. Now, there's no one to give them any more advice. So, hey, when the green flag drops today, it's going to be entirely up to them.
Well, down in the pits, everybody stands ready to move out onto the track. And that is, of course, Roberto Guerrero, who is ready for the start of the 500. Twice he's been second. Can he win it? Tony Stewart, the young rookie that is going to be the pole sitter. What an awesome job. And there's Johnny Unser, another of the Unser clan, as he moves out, getting ready to get to his position at his car in the starting field for the 80th Indy 500.
Home of the greatest spectacle in racing, looking way down into turn number 1. You're looking now at the cockpit of Tony Stewart's car. Do you see the 3.0 right there? That says that when he has only 3 gallons of fuel left, he needs to start thinking about coming onto pit road. They don't use gasoline, they use methanol. It's inserted in here 40 gallons at a time. Just above that, you see an antenna. You'll be riding on board with Tony Stewart today. This car will come in 5, possibly 7 times for pit stops to change tires. These tires going for $500 a piece. All the way around, you'll have to have at least 12 sets. The crew will have to not only fuel the car, but make adjustments. We told you how they can adjust the front wing. Back here under this cover, there's a little lip. It's called a wicker bill. Right here, you can lift it up and change the wicker bill, changing dramatically the handling of this race car. All of these things so very important. On top is what is called, and it is the infamous pop-off valve. We've heard so much about it. This, ladies and gentlemen, will be the final time that you get to see the pop-off valve in Indy 500 competition. That pop-off valve maintains the amount of atmosphere inside the engine, and as a direct result, how much horsepower is built. Next year, non-turbocharged engines will be part of the Indy Racing League and the Indy 500. Instead of a pop-off valve, you'll have rev limiters. This is a walk that so many men have made before. It really gets your heart pumping, pushing the car down to the unbelievable spot, the pin, row number 1 on the inside for the 80th running of the Indianapolis 500. Gary?
Well, Jack, your heart pumps even if you're back here on the pit wall at this point. When you first walk out of Gasoline Alley and you see these throngs of people. Roberto Guerrero, you've done it so many times. Do you ever get comfortable with being under the microscope like you are for this race?
I don't think so, Gary. I think anytime you walk out of Gasoline Alley and you see all these people, it's overwhelming.
You've come so close to winning this race in the past. How do you assess your chances here for the Pagan Racing team today, starting outside second row?
I think we're, I hate to jinx it, but I think we're looking really good, Gary. Everything is going really well. The setup we have is good, and we have a really good setup for these conditions. And hopefully, with a little bit of luck behind us, I think we can have a really good race.
Now, when you come to the racetrack with the Guerrero clan, you always find wife Katie alongside. Katie, a quick word. How are your nerves on a day like this? Is this tough for you to deal with?
I'm completely frazzled. But no, I feel really actually confident. The team is great. Roberto's feeling good, and I think we have a good shot at the race today.
All right, that's the Pagan Racing team, Roberto and Katie Guerrero. Jack?
Gary, you heard Tony Stewart, this man, say this is the walk that he looked forward to since he was 8 years old. Is it as much as you thought it would be?
Let's go racing. Let's quit talking about this damn thing. I'm ready to go race. I mean, this is what I've built up to for 17 years, and man, it's a dream come true. I've had so much fun here this morning, and it's about the time that I normally get up every day. So it's everything and more that I've ever wanted it to be, and I'm just ready to get going with it.
Dr. Jerry Punch, a little bit of his dirt track background starts to come out in Tony Stewart.
Well, indeed, and Mike Groff here, Jack, will start from the middle of row 4. And Mike, the color and the pageantry, the music, the people, I mean, there's no other moment in motorsports or maybe sports that can rival what happens here in these next few minutes.
No question. It's a great feeling to be out here running at Indy. I think it's the greatest race in the world, and we're here to beat the racetrack today. We're going to work as hard as we can to make it a good day.
Got to be awfully confident knowing that Derek Walker has a lot of experience here. His crew, the Valvoline team, feels very comfortable that you've got a great shot at winning it.
We really do. The guys on the Valvoline team have done a really super job all month, and pit stop work has been flawless in practice. I feel really good going into the race. They've done a really great job for us all month, and I think it'll all come right today.
People may not remember, but 1992, you played a major role. Didn't drive a lap in the race, but what did you do?
I did a lot of standing around that year and watched, unfortunately, and that's not the way I like to do things, and that's why I'm glad to be here. It's the greatest opportunity I've ever had to be with Valvoline, Cummins, and Craftsman. Derek Walker race teams, I think the most experienced team in the field, and we're ready to go.
In 1992, this man qualified the car for Scott Goodyear and Derek Walker. And remember, Scott Goodyear came within 43 thousandths of a second of winning the race because Mike Groff qualified it. Maybe this place owes him one. Jack?
Jerry, a long time ago when Ray Haroon won this race, all out in this area were bricks. There's only 36 inches of bricks left, and we've come to the high-tech age. You've watched our telecast. You see the speeds and where teams run and where their running order is. Well, do you see this area here that's been cut into the straightaway here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway? Underneath that is a long wire that triggers onboard computer systems that then feed the information back to a master control area. And instead of paper and pencil, now by computer, we know who's running where. These type of cuts in this super billiard smooth racetrack are located not only on the straightaways, but into the corners, in the middle of the corners. It's very important for the teams as well. We get excited about the speed that we see, but teams are very interested in what it says during practice, because a corner speed can be very important, especially at the exit. Gary?
Jack, during the course of the race, the heat of the battle, these drivers will make 7-8 pit stops today over the 500 miles. And something we normally don't get a chance to look at are the markings on pit road. Here in Roberto Guerrero's pit, you see all of these tape marks that have been laid down. This is where they want to position the race car. Here's your left rear. Here's where the fueler hooks up. Here is the left front. Now, right up here in front of that, however, you see this X, and it's written no go. What that means is if the car rolls too far forward, they know that if the wheel is here, their fueling hose from that tank back over here will not reach. They had a problem just like this in the season opening event down at Walt Disney World in Orlando. So now they've got a well-defined mark. If the front wheel gets here, they know they've got to push him back. They get him behind this line. That fueling hose over there will reach. They can go through the ritual of getting the 40 gallons of methanol on board and then get him back out on the racetrack. Jack?
Well, the crowd here surrounding the pole winner's car. There's one thing that nobody wants to see on these cars, but you will see on many of them. Right here, our lost friend who crashed here. And for Scotty Brayton, not only do we miss you, but all the drivers here love you. Paul?
Certainly a lot of thoughts about Scott Brayton here today, but we look forward to the start of the race. We'll return to the Speedway after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
The Indianapolis 500 continues on ABC's Wide World of Sports.
Back at Indianapolis, as we look down the main straightaway, the cars are all in position. Let's go to Jerry Punch.
Well, Johnny Unser, you start this race as a rookie, 37 years of age, and it has to be a special moment coming to Indianapolis Motor Speedway for you.
Yeah, it is. You know, it means a whole lot to me to be out here and be able to run, and we're just looking forward to having a good, smooth race and, you know, and continuing on.
A close call on carburation day. You spun the car, got into the wall. How badly was it hurt, and are you concerned at all about not getting back on the track?
Well, you know, I wish I could have run, but, you know, I think the guys have done a good job. The car's just like new, and we're going back with our original setup, so I'll have to feel it out the first couple of laps, you know, and see where we are, and then we'll work on it on every stop. So, you know, I'm pretty confident with the car right now.
Johnny, we'll let you move toward the car. Good luck to you.
Thanks a lot.
As you watch Johnny Unser move away, it's appropriate that a track so steeped in history and heritage would welcome another Unser to the starting field. Johnny Unser's father lost his life at this racetrack, Jerry Unser, back in 1959. Today he told me the start will be very emotional. He said moments ago, Doc, I don't know if I'm going to be able to hold back the tears on the parade lap. He said, in fact, when I'm on the backstretch, I'm going to gaze upward and utter these words. Today, Dad, I understand. This one is for you. Gary?
Here's another young driver, Alessandro Zampedri. This is your second Indianapolis 500. What did you learn last year that's going to make you a better, more successful race driver this year?
Well, Gary, first of all, being here again after last year's experience is great. All these fans are absolutely great as always. And it's just make you feel a lot more confident because you know how long the race is going to be, and you know that you're not going to win and lose this race in the first corner, and you're not going to win and lose this race in the pit, try to get off too quick.
All right, that's Alessandro Zampedri. Good luck. He starts in row 3, Paul.
On the inside of row 3, there you can see the field with the crews, the well-wishers, everyone as they stand by their cars. And we are ready now for the formal ceremonies. Let's go down and join the Speedway official voice, Tom Carnegie.
All-American Band and the presentation of our national anthem.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Florence Henderson and the Purdue Band. Now, if you'll remain standing for the invocation given once again this year by the Most Reverend Daniel M. Beekline, Archbishop of the Catholic Archdiocese of Indianapolis. Father Beekline.
Let us pray. God of grace and holiness, we invoke your presence upon this greatest spectacle in racing, the 80th Indianapolis 500-mile race. We come as peoples of the world of many religious traditions from east and west, north and south, other continents, countries, and our own home. We speak many languages, yet, O God, we are your people. With the Hulman George and the Indy Racing League family, unite the hearts of the hundreds of thousands gathered here and of those millions who join us around the world. This Memorial Weekend, we offer thanks for the courageous service of our country's fallen ones. Lord, we pause to commend our brother Scott Brayton to your tender care. He has won the race. He fought the good fight. Comfort his beautiful family. Protect these skilled drivers, their mechanics and crews. Keep them and us safe. For the drivers, we pray, que le bon Dieu va avec vous, hut sei mit vous, gut velsigne Dei, come samano omegumiga arimasu yoni, Dio li guida, vaya con Dios, vai con Dios, Godspeed, Amen.
I would ask you to please remain standing. On this Memorial Day weekend, we pause here in a moment of silence to pay homage to those individuals who have given their lives unselfishly and unafraid to make it possible for us to witness as free men and women the world's greatest sporting event. We also pay homage to those men and women who have given their lives unselfishly and without fear to make racing the world's most spectacular spectator sport.
The tradition of the Indy 500, and here's a tradition that goes back 50 years. It's time for that annual singing of Back Home Again in Indiana. Mr. Jim Neighbors.
Home again in Indiana, and it seems that I can see the gleaming candlelight still burning bright through the sycamores for me. The new mown hay sends out its fragrance through the fields I used to roam. When I dream about the moonlight on the Wabash, how I love
drivers to your cars, please. All drivers to their cars. As the Purdue University All-American Band departs the pit area, we turn our attention to the 11 rows of 3. And the next commands will be coming from the pole position area. So stand by.
Dyke sits in his mid-pack position, fastest car, fastest driver in the field.
Tony Stewart, Davy Jones, Eliseo Salazar in that front row.
We are just a few moments away now from hearing those
John Paul Jr. as they strap him to his cockpit, and that job kind of a final goodbye, Danny.
Well, it is. That's usually your crew chief that's doing that. He's the last guy to talk to you, see him, wishing him congratulations, good luck, and all that. He wants him to finish.
Mrs. Mary Fendry Hallman.
Okay. Now. Okay, now. Then start the race.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines.
Merrick Fendry Holman, the chairman of the board of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, as she calls the engines to life, and drivers now begin to respond along with the help of their crew. Up and down the main straightaway, the roar begins to build as we're ready for the 80th running of the Indy 500. Let's go to Jerry Punch.
For the past 20 years, Chuck Buckman and Paul Diatlovich have come here as mechanics, but this year they pooled their pennies to buy a car, the number 18 starting in the middle of row 6 by John Paul. You got to wonder, Chuck, how different does it feel this year knowing the car you own is about to pull away?
It's the most awesome experience of my life to be able to do this. And I want to thank Tony George and Jack Long and Earl's Performance and all the other people involved. It's just great. It's awesome.
Paul, what is the emotion for you knowing you got so much at stake?
Well, it's a great day. I mean, it's what the IRL's all about. I mean, it's put people like us with a talented driver like John Paul, put some good sponsors like Earl's Performance Products, Andy Clements with V-Line, the Crown Plaza Hotel, and just one other person I want to say thanks. Thanks, Ralph.
Well, their team is called PDM Motorsports. PDM stands for Poor Dumb Mechanics. Hey, let's go to Gary.
I don't believe that for a moment. Here's Andy Evans. He set a record this year. He's got 7 cars in this race, and the amazing thing is this is your first time to experience all this at Indianapolis. What are you feeling right now?
Gary, I'm living my dream. When I was a boy in Fresno, California, I grew up with the Vukovich family. Rick Mears was in Bakersfield. This is the Indy 500. It's the sacrifice. It's the commitment. It's the ultimate sacrifice that Scotty Brayton paid this month, but that's what Indy 500 is all about.
All right, have a great day, Andy. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Jack, Gary, this man has been here before, having cars on the front row. John Menard, does it ever change the feeling?
Not a bit. I got butterflies in my stomach, my heart's pounding, and it's just as exciting as ever.
Now we may have had a first, ladies and gentlemen. I understand that maybe all of the motors have been shut off. Might have been a little bit premature because it was my understanding that USAC hadn't completed their inspection and the Speedway gave a cue at the wrong time. So many firsts this year. Now for the first time in 80 years, it's gentlemen, start your engines. Let's turn them off for a couple of minutes. We're rewriting the book all the time.
I've never heard gentlemen stop your engines, so this is a new one. We have to see what's going on. I hope it's not a long delay because we're all ready to race.
You had an opportunity under closed door session to talk to your crew, your drivers. Can you let us in on some of what you said?
I told them we're going to have to rock and roll and do this one for Scott.
Paul, that's about all that can be said right now. They've restarted the motors, though, so we're going racing.
Well, that is a first. They started, then they stopped, then they started again. But, Danny, does that create any concerns for the crews?
Oh, I don't think so. I mean, if they'd had any problems, but they quickly got them going back. They weren't shut off for long enough. It was probably more of a concern of what happened and are we going to have a 1-minute delay or 10 or 15 minute. But obviously everybody's now back. I see all the crews down there. They got their hands up. Everybody's ready to go.
So started and restarted at the Speedway. Stefan Gregoire closest to you as the crews still stand ready and waiting. See the hand in the air. That tells everybody at the front of the field that their car is set, fired, driver strapped in and ready to go.
Well, I'm looking down there at Ari Leyendijk's car. They look like they're doing a little last-minute adjustment to the seatbelt. That I can't really tell. The crew chief is down into the car. It looks like they're just trying to get him all strapped up and make sure all the radio mics, everything's put in the right place.
At the front of the field, the cars begin to roll out. There is your front row. And let's take a look at how this field breaks down in terms of engines, the chassis, and the tires with those powerful Menard V6s there. One Buick, a Ford Cosworth, 24 of them, and a single Ilmor, 21 Olas and 12 Renards. And the stories in this race today, well, there are so very many of them, and we're going to keep track of some of them for you today. As the field rolls out, the question is attrition. How will the cars fare? Ari Leyendijk, fastest qualifier, but he starts back in the middle of the field. And Danny Angayas replaced Brayton. He is going to start in 33rd position. And Team Menard with their cars, how will they fare before this day is over? The rookies in the field, there are 17 of them, and how will they perform? And there is Danny Angayas. And the weather today will be cloudy, windy, we hope no rain. And now there is Danny Angayas as he pulls away a little bit late, perhaps a tribute to Scott Brayton. And Hidesi Matsuda, he had a problem. His car is not yet started, and they're going to get it off the edge of the track and down into the pit area is what the rule requires, and they will start it there, and then hopefully he will be able to rejoin the field. Let's go to Gary.
We heard earlier the story of Johnny Unser and the great tradition of the Unsers at this place. There's another bit of legacy in terms of family that carried on today. Johnny Parsons Jr., his dad won this race 46 years ago. JP has been in it 11 times in the past. He's here for a 12th time now, but what a story to get here. He'd missed the race over the last 10 years, and then 2 weeks ago, a practice crash on the first day of qualifying really set the team back. But Blueprint Racing worked literally around the clock, and then with just a handful of laps, Parsons was able to qualify that car. He's starting deep in the field. He's looking to finish his first 500-miler since 1985 today when he was fifth. We wish JP well. Jack?
Well, Gary, let's update you on Hidesi Matsuda as he went by. The engine just plain wouldn't fire. Now, you're looking at pit road. It's empty right now, but it'll get very busy. One rule, 100-mile-an-hour speed limit is in effect. At the drivers' meeting, another thing that was brought up is at the start. So many concerns. Well, USAC officials showed starts from the last 9 races. Consider this fact. We're talking about new drivers. Well, what about the fact there's a lot of new crews here as well? In some cases, they've only made a total of 4 stops throughout the season. They're going to more than double that today. This is going to be a very, very busy place. Fuel consumption, you got to stay on top of that. Why? Because until the pack gets up behind the pace car, the pits are always closed.
Now you can see that the field began moving down the front stretch on the first of the 2 parade laps, and then the pace lap. Here is the way they line up. On the pole, Tony Stewart, Davy Jones in the middle of the front row, Eliseo Salazar to the outside. In row 2, Eddie Cheever, Buddy Lazier, and Roberto Guerrero, all veterans. In row 3, Alessandro Zampedri, and then rookie Michel Jourdain Jr. and the Orlando winner Buzz Calkins. In the 4th row, Davey Hamilton, Mike Groff, and Michele Alboreto. In row number 5, Stefan Gregoire, a great story of comeback of Mark Dismore and Richie Hearn. Back in the 6th row, Johnny Unser down on the inside, John Paul Jr. and Lynn St. James. In row number 7, Jim Guthrie, Ari Leyendijk, and Scott Sharp. In the 8th row, Marco Greco, rookie Robbie Buell, and rookie Paul Durant. In the 9th row, Rayson Gardner, Brad Murphy, and Johnny Parsons Jr. Row 10, Fermin Velez from Spain, Johnny O'Connell, and Hidesi Matsuda. We hope he does get started. The 11th and final row, Joe Gosick, Scott Harrington, and of course, Danny Angayas. Now let's go down to Jerry Punch.
Greg Beck owns the car of Hideshi Matsuda. Greg, what seems to be the problem with the car, with Hideshi's car?
Well, the starter apparently wasn't quite engaged all the way. And
okay, the crew now talking to Greg Beck. They also have a problem with the radios, trying to be able to even talk to Hideshi. Let's go to Jack Arute.
Another car that's having problems with radio, the track record holder, Ari Lyondike. He cannot hear his crew. The crew's been talking to him during these parade laps. He just radioed in and said, when I come by, if you can hear me, hold a thumb up. The call just went out to the entire crew. Thumbs up as Lyondike goes by. At least they'll be able to hear him.
What was happening with his car, and this is Johnny Unser rolling down into the pit area, and we'll keep an eye on him. They go for the cowling of the car, so something must be wrong in that car's engine compartment, and we're still set to go racing. The field straggles out. Hopefully they'll form up shortly as we take a final word from Danny and Bobby.
Well, I think, Paul, the one thing I heard was the rookies all said we're going to be patient, we're going to take our time. I'm not so sure that the veterans aren't going to try to take advantage of that and gain a few spots. Bobby?
Well, down here in 2 turn, they're lining up pretty good as they come off of turn 2 down the back straightaway. You can see the pressure and the tension amongst them. I can also see for little Johnny how bad he feels, my nephew, in the pits. Now, the guys that don't start this race, you got to deeply feel for them.
So now as the field begins to align itself, the first 3 rows, now the 4th on the final set of corners on the pace lap. You're looking over the corner and right shoulder of Tony Stewart, the pole sitter.
Bob Masuda just went out of turn 2. He's down the back straightaway.
So Hidesi Masuda is back and ready to go as well. He'll join at the back of the field. Here they come off in the 4th turn, the pace car already accelerating through the pit area. And on the outside, Salazar pushes a little bit ahead. The row not aligned at the moment, but still we watch for the green flag. And there it is. Here we go. We're racing. As Tony Stewart in a drag race with Salazar leads them into the first turn. Tony Stewart leads into turn 1 across the short chute and towards Bobby.
Here he comes down in. He's got a real nice line. Everybody seems to be very conservative so far. They're not sleeping by any means, but they're also not taking any chances.
And already another situation as Mark Dismore, the 30 car, through the pits and onto the access road. We'll keep track of that. Tony Stewart pulls away in the front of the field as he comes off the 4th corner and heads down for the start-finish line. The rookie pole sitter will lead the very first lap of the Indianapolis 500, which has been fast and safe as the field strings out.
Now keep in mind that Tony Stewart's got the Menard engine, a very powerful, the most powerful engines here today. Now he'll run a little bit, get out a little bit of lead, and he's running faster right now for sure, I can tell. Then he'll have to cut back to start saving fuel, Paul.
The first lap above 200 miles an hour at 208.
Well, it appears as one of the Menards is in the pits as well. I couldn't tell exactly who that was.
It was Mark Dismore.
Mark Dismore obviously has a problem. He's been in and out of the pits. And Tony Stewart did exactly what he said he was going to do at the start, which was go race it. I'm going to lead that first lap. And he's doing it.
Mark Dismore, they top the fuel off. They'll always do that. Change the tires, so probably handling.
I think he's got something besides the handling problem, Dan. He's not in there for handling. They've changing the tires is just in case something got cut while he was on the track.
Yeah, that's pretty standard procedure, Bobby. I think he's got more wrong than that. He was actually in before the green flag, so I would assume something was a problem. And I think we've got a yellow flag.
Yellow flag out right now, and they've called it because of debris on the track, and that will slow the field down. There's Roberto Guerrero as he was chasing Davy Jones just before the yellow came out. So there's the way they line up. 2 laps complete at Indy, and we're yellow for debris. Mark Dismore as he comes out of the pits, and he was the reason for this yellow. At least he instigated the situation that brought the yellow out for debris on the track. In this case, the debris was mud. As they came to the start of the race and the green flag flew, Mark Dismore got down very low on the apron on the inside of the track, and he had a problem. And we'll take a look here, and we actually have 2 situations working. We have Scott Harrington, who got in trouble, and there he is. as he came flying up on the back of the field and then shocked the brakes, and that got him down on the inside. But look how he kept that off the wall.
He just ran right up way too fast on those other cars, Paul. He wasn't looking far enough ahead. Now that's a bad case of inexperience right there.
That was, and those guys, I don't know how he couldn't see him, Bobby. He was right there in front of him. It was clear. It wasn't like he came around the corner. He just was carrying too much speed.
Yeah, especially in the straightaway, Danny. It's not hard to see there.
And here is the other situation. Mark Dismore on the start. This is turn 1. And down on the inside there, he just nipped the inside, it looked like, and that twisted him around, fortunately, to the inside.
Well, that's right. It looks like he just pinched it down a little bit, turned the wheel, and lost it.
All right, let's go to Gary Gerald.
Oh, I'm wondering if what may have entered into this factor, remember, and I don't think we've addressed it yet today, no rumble strips down on the inside groove that have been prevalent the last 2 years. And so certainly you get down there and you drop a wheel off, as wet and as muddy it has been, it kicks all that stuff up on the track. That creates a problem. Once Dismore got back into the pits, as he made a dramatic wing change at the front, the crew actually made 4 to 5 turns on the nose wing, and then he stalled the engine getting out. So clearly, nerves may be frustrated and frazzled just a bit, but he is back on the track. Jack?
Gary, talk about pressure for Arie Luyendyk. We told you he wants to go to the front. The radio is out. The crewman, the pit signal board, they brought out a plain old-fashioned blackboard. He has got to get signals from his crew with a piece of chalk on a blackboard.
And as we're set to go green, Arie Luyendyk started 20th and now is in 11th place as we're ready to go green. Johnny Hunter and John Paul Jr. both in the pits as they work on their cars. Looking for green. Here we go again. Green flag comes out on the 5th lap. And Salazar closes on the back end of Tony Stewart's car. Everybody else cleanly through the first corner.
And it looks like Roberto Guerrero has jumped up a spot on Davy Jones.
Davy Jones, you see a glimpse of him there. We're going to go back. Here is Arie Luyendyk, car number 5, that red and white car, as he comes alongside Mike Roth and continues his charge up toward the front of the field. My question, though, would be, Bobby Unser, whether or not you would make that move this early on a race like this.
It's a long way to go, Paul. I agree with you. I don't think I would have. You know, there's a lot of problems. Remember, anybody that gets down into the grass, as was brought up just a little bit ago, it's going to bring not only grass out, but water today. It's going to really monkey the track up a lot. So a lot of these guys are going to be looking for chassis change. It's not going to help. Incidentally, to show you the track is fast, a little while ago, Tony Stewart had already turned a lap at 229 miles an hour.
229.3. You saw Arie Luyendyk overhaul Michel Jourdain, pick up 8th place.
Well, I think Arie's moving. He wants to get up to the front of the field. That radio really won't hurt him until later on when they start having to do strategy and making pit stops. Right now, he's just focusing on getting to the front of the field and getting out there in some clear air.
You know, Danny, when the traffic is thinned out a little bit like it is right now, Arie knows that's the time to make hay. In other words, pass the guys when it's opportune before something happens.
Up at the top of the screen, you can see how we're going to help track the race. The lap number, who is leading the race, by how far they're leading, and then on the other side, we'll scroll down through the remainder of the field and their interval back from the leader. Now, what about Johnny Unser? Gary Punch?
Well, Paul Page, Johnny did not even take the green flag. It's 95 to Reynard sits on pit road. He came down pit road because it is locked in first gear. Andreas Lieberle and the crew are trying to get it out of first gear. Right now, they have had no results. It is still locked in gear, and Unser has not yet run a lap under green.
Now, they had a problem with that car in practice just before they got ready to run this race. They couldn't get the car in gear, causing them to be late, for example, for qualifying. So it looks like they overdid the transmission the wrong way.
And Arie Luyendyk continues his move up through the field and now sets his sights on Zampedri. The last lap for the leader, Tony Stewart, the 9th lap at 232.3 miles an hour, right on the old qualifying record. We keep our eyes, though, on this man, Arie Luyendyk, the red and white car number 5. Boy, what a run he's having.
He's having a great race, but of course he's come up behind Zampedri and he's finding it a little bit tougher.
Looks like a problem with Paul Duran's car. Smoke at the back. He gets it on to the access road down to the pits, and he loses it. Stay down, stay down, stay down, stay down.
Track. Whoa.
Yellow flag, of course, is out. The rest of the field comes by and gets by safely. So Paul Durant has something go wrong with the car. He gets it down on the access road into the pits, and now unstraps. Not the world's best idea, but he unstraps and is ready to get out of the car. So we're back yellow second time of the day. Tony Stewart is the leader. Salazar is second. Roberto Guerrero is third. And Danny Angayas, who started in 33rd position, is now in 19th as we track both Angayas and Arie Luyendyk through the field. But the yellow is out right now. We'll take a look at it again. You can see a display of vapor at the back of the car. He gets it down off the racetrack, but then he just loses it on the pit road. So we are yellow, and Paul Durant has his problems and has climbed out of the cockpit. 11 laps of the 200 are now complete.
The 80th running of the Indianapolis 500. This special presentation on ABC's Wide World of Sports is brought to you by Goodyear, #1 in tires. Priority mail from the U.S. Postal Service. Buick, makers of the 1996 Riviera. When was the last time you really had fun in a car? And TM8 engine treatment from Valvoline. TM8 significantly reduces engine bearing wear.
Well, we're looking at Paul Durant's car as he comes down the pit lane. He's clearly got a problem. As you see the car go forward just a little bit, stop right there, just under this part right here. The fluid is starting to come out of the radiator, which is right in that spot. And as that comes out, it goes right back along here, underneath that nice rear slick tire. And as he goes forward, the liquid gets under there. He starts to get sideways. Boom, he's gone. He's lost it. He's got no control when that liquid goes under that rear tire.
And just before we went yellow for this incident, Tony Stewart turned a lap at 234.4 miles an hour. Jerry Punch?
Well, veteran Darryl Safi is the chief mechanic for Paul Durant. And Darryl, what happened to the car?
He lost the motor and locked up the rear wheels, and he spun the car when the motor blew.
Did you get any advance warning at all that he was going to have a problem?
No, not at all. It was a brand new motor. We just put it in Friday and Saturday, and it just went away.
Unbelievable. They lost that engine in one lap on Thursday's carburation day. This engine, another brand new one, it goes away here within a few laps. Paul?
A terrible disappointment. John Paul Jr. out of his car. The report here is ignition trouble. So a number of interesting, if not strange, circumstances. You start the engines, you stop them, then you start them again. Then, as we're trying to roll out, you have one car on the starting field, Matsuda's, who is not working, and several cars coming into the pit area. And then on lap one, Mark Dismore gets in trouble. There's Johnny Unser as he climbs out of his car, and I suspect they've probably decided it's totally done now. And so it's been a very unusual day thus far at Indianapolis. With 13 laps complete, we are under the yellow. We'll return with more action from the Speedway after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
The 80th running of the Indianapolis 500 continues.
Still under yellow here at Indy. Later today here on ABC Sports, defending champion Dottie Pepper, Annika Sorenstam, Lori Davies, and Beth Daniel will battle for over $500,000 in the J.C. Penney LPGA Skins Game. Coverage of the final 9 holes begins today at 3:30 Eastern, 12 Pacific, right here on 12:30 Pacific, right here on ABC Sports. So let's go to the pits. Jerry Punch.
Well, rookie Johnny Unser did not even get to take the green flag. And Johnny, we were told that it was a gearbox problem. What exactly happened?
I guess the shift fork broke and got into all the gears. When I went out on the pace lap, kept popping out of first gear, and you know, I tried to get it to stay in and try to shift through the gears to see if the forks had lined up, and evidently, I don't know what happened, but something was screwed up in there and broke all the, you know, it broke the other gears or something in there. It's a mess.
Was this related at all to what happened on Thursday, them having to put the car back together in the last day or two?
No, I don't think so. I mean, nothing happened to the gearbox on Thursday, and you know, they went through it, rebuilt everything. The only thing that we didn't get to try it on the track, but they tried it on the jack stands, and everything worked fine. I don't know, you know, they're pretty finely matched gears and things in there, and so I can't say what happened. It's just real disappointing.
Somehow this doesn't seem fair. Gary?
Another disappointed driver, John Paul Jr., quickly before they're ready to go green. What was the problem for you?
We had some kind of an engine problem, electronics with the ignition or something internal in the motor. It just wouldn't go right when they gave us the green flag. It just laid on its butt.
Nothing more frustrating for a race driver, is there?
Well, it's very disappointing. You know, the team did a tremendous job all month. The car has been really hooked up. You know, we really thought we had a good race car today and don't get a chance to show it.
Ready to go green. Thank you, John. Paul?
So John Paul Jr., Johnny Unser, and Paul Durant out of the race here with 16 laps complete. The pace car already off onto the pit area as Tony Stewart picks the pace back up, coming back to the green flag, and we're racing once again. Boy, look at the battle back in the center of the field as Stewart pulls away. They were 5 wide for a second there. Salazar trying to defend his position against Roberto Guerrero, and another car spins. This time, the 32 car, and that is Danny Ongayas, who had moved up to 19th place from 32nd, and then gets in trouble on the restart, and we're yellow once again. This is looking at it.
I don't know what happened
high
there,
in the
but
groove.
he just looked like maybe he just stood on the gas too hard and turned that car sideways.
He just busted the rear tires loose, Danny, just as you thought there, and came around. The lucky part of it is he was going awful slow, which means it's easy to break the rear tires loose, but by the same token, he didn't go fast enough to get out and hit the wall.
Let's go to Jack Aruth.
Well, I think maybe we might be seeing something shades of several years ago. Remember when the temperatures were real cold and only Goodyear was shooing the Indianapolis 500? Leo Mel told us at that time, cold tires are a problem. The radios chatter back and forth between teams, both for Firestone and Goodyear today, so far as it under cold tire conditions, these cars are very loose. In fact, Mark Dismore radioed into his crew that he thought that might have accounted for him getting into the dirt. You might have to put some heat into these new shoes.
All right, now Danny Ongayas caused the yellow, comes into the pits, even though under yellow the pit should be closed. He finally gets re-going again. We're going to check on that and make sure that this stop in the pits was one he could, in fact, legally make. We'll be right back.
Of the Indianapolis 500. This special presentation on ABC's Wide World of Sports is brought to you by Cadillac. The great performers are always creating a higher standard. Goodyear, #1 in tires. Valvoline, the #1 choice of America's top mechanics. And Red Dog Beer, bold yet smooth, unusually easy to drink. You are your own dog.
We're back at Indianapolis. The yellow is still on. We're on lap 19. Danny Ongayas, we mentioned, came into the pits, Danny, after causing the yellow.
Right, and I've got a question to you guys over there, Bobby and Jack. You know, I did that 92 race when you're talking about it being so cool. I didn't feel that this morning. Of course, I'm up here in a comfortable booth, you know, with the heater on. But is it as cold as it was in 1992?
Negative, Danny. It really isn't bad out here. It's pretty nice, in fact. The only thing that would make the track be too cold under normal thermostatic tire conditions would be the fact that the sun is not beating on it. But I think it's beautiful weather. In fact, I don't know when I've ever seen it any better.
Well, the field works their way behind the pace car through the second turn, and Kerry Agajanian of the Indy Racing League has joined us here in the booth. And Kerry, as we look at this, there is the yellow light on as we see Danny Ongayas heading to the pits. Now, what is the rule?
Well, the rule is that once the yellow light up here at the end of the pit starts flashing, it is closed. But you see, also under this yellow condition, under this yellow condition, though, they are not allowed to enter the pits, and he will be black flagged.
So he will be brought in, stopped, and then head out.
Yes, stop and go.
So the question to you is, so actually, isn't it correct? The minute it goes yellow, the millisecond it goes yellow, the pits are closed. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, my question would be, the yellow light was not on in the pits until he was into the pits. So how could that mean it closed if the yellow light wasn't on?
I can now help this. They've just changed their mind, Gary. So since you walked down to our booth in your defense, as we go back to green flag racing once again. Kerry Agajani, thank you very much for coming down. I'm sorry they changed it after you left.
Okay, no problem.
So back on the track, Salazar with Davy Jones beginning now to challenge Guerrero just ahead of Salazar, working the 21st lap. 234 miles an hour by Tony Stewart on that last lap.
Everybody's coming through turn 2. Real nice, straight. Unfortunately, Paul, we're going to see some instances later on where they're getting awfully close to the grass. And with the damn ground again, like I said earlier, that's going to be a problem all day. We can watch for that. They don't want to be too close to the grass today.
Davy Jones driving for Rick Ellis, the lone Mercedes-Benz in the field.
Now, Bobby, one of the things I'm noticing here on the shots we're seeing is they're coming off with a very tight line. They've got plenty of room to spare coming off turn 2. Looks very conservative.
Most of them, Danny, are running very conservative. Even over here in turn 2, they're not even getting near the wall. That means they're all a little edgy about the racetrack today. And I'm still having a hard time figuring it out because Tony Stewart has no trouble finding speed. The rest of them are very conservative.
All right, there you keep track of Davy Jones. In the meantime, we mentioned Paul Durant out of the race, Jackaroo.
Well, we've caught up with Paul. He's changed to a Civvies. Paul, what about your feelings in such an early exit from the Indy 500?
Well, it's tough. You know, we came here and tried to just keep things clean for the month, and we were able to do that. The car was really good at the beginning of the race. We were just biding time and trying to take what was given to us and not do a lot. I came up on Lynn St. James, and she actually was puffing some oil, and I thought she was going to have motor problems, so I backed up a little bit, and a couple laps later, just out of nowhere, ours let go. Got it down on the warm-up lane and must have gotten my own oil because it just turned around, and fortunately, you know, we didn't get too far on the racetrack and nobody hit us.
Well, it's tough to see you out. It's a good thing that something just real close happened, Paul, as we were on board with Arie Luyendyk. He just barely touched the wall. That'll get your attention at 220 plus.
Yeah, he's still running 8th, but we saw the replay just up a graze of the wall. But Danny, even a graze at those kind of speeds.
Well, let's not forget last year, Michael Andretti grazed the wall. It didn't look a whole lot different, and it actually put him out of the race. And I believe you can see Arie going through 4, getting ready to set up for 4 right here. He'll go through, and you should see a black mark right there on the outside, right there, as we just went by. That's the where he just touched. He obviously looks as if everything's okay. He's running around speeds.
Awfully early in the race, Danny, to be doing that.
All right, we can look at it one more time, this time in slow motion. Drifts out toward the wall. Boy, this is, you're right, Danny, so reminiscent of Michael last year.
See his hand, too? See him just moving his hand right there? And the wheel just touches. Now, Bobby, he's pretty close to that car in front of him. I don't know whether the air moved it around just enough.
What happens is he loses a little bit on his front wings, but Danny, he shouldn't have been that close. He has a little bit more reserve than that.
Hey, guys, you know, just a couple moments before that, they went back to green, and I need to ask both of you as drivers, specifically Danny, the first thing that Arie did, remember he's got the radio problem, he was yelling at his crew because they didn't tell him that the green was about to go up. So now when you don't have time to prepare, do you lose that concentration that Bobby Unser talked about for just a split second?
I don't really think so. You know, you can tell where the pace car is, and you can certainly see the light on the top.
Well, he was complaining to the crew. He said, you need to tell me. Get the board higher up in the air. I've got to know when the green's coming out.
Well, at least he's going to get their attention on that, isn't he?
Yeah, I think that's more of an emotional thing that still shouldn't have caused what caused that. If he was upset, he still shouldn't have been running, as Bobby said, that high on a restart with this many laps to go in the race.
Arie Luyendyk currently 8th, still trying to overhaul Lazier, or Zampedri, then Lazier. And one of the interesting aspects, you mentioned his radio problems. Now, for the first time this year, we have spotters on 2 sets of turns that are talking down to the cars, but Arie, with his problems, won't have that advantage.
No, I don't think he'll be able to hear it. The other thing which we mentioned at the top of the show is, don't forget, very few of them have run that much in traffic. So they're trying to figure out what the car is going to do in traffic. And maybe he's got a little bit of looseness, a push at the front end of that car. And that car being 100 yards out there just took enough air away to cause a problem.
Well, if you think it might have made a difference, it didn't. Arie Luyendyk on the last lap at 226 miles an hour, while everybody else was down in the low 220s or the high teens. Now watching the battle for second, Guerrero, Salazar, Jones is there as well. There's Guerrero. The leader is still Tony Stewart. He ran 227.8 on the last lap, lap 20.
Well, I think he's cutting back on his boost just a little bit. Remember, these things have more power, therefore they use more fuel. So Tony's going to have to ease up, as we said before.
On our Valvoline speed board there, 207 miles an hour for the last lap of Roberto Guerrero, former track record holder. Started back in 6th place, now runs in 2nd, and held the track record right up until qualifying for the pole this year.
Well, and I think that speed's probably indicative of how much is going in, how much he's in traffic. He's running much faster than that if he's running 2nd spot.
Battle we're tracking right now there at the front of the screen. That's Eddie Cheever, and at the front of this group, and that is Buddy Lazier. This is a battle for 5th place, as Lazier has been catching up regularly. Now you see Arie Luyendyk comes into the frame as well, and Davy Jones not all that far ahead of this fight. So it's at least a 3-way, becoming a 4-way battle for 4th. On board Arie, back off, taking a look at the purple car of Buddy Lazier, that green and yellow car. Of course is Cheever. And now Luyendyk lines up to take a look at him. And we're getting our first reports that we're going to see pit stops any time now. 30 laps complete. Indication is we expect the leader in shortly.
Well, I'm a little surprised that they're pitting quite that early with as many yellows as we had. They should have had a few more laps to go under green, but I think everybody's feeling their way out. As the fuel load lightens, the cars are changing somewhat too.
Eddie Cheever on the pit road. Remember, the speed limit is 100 miles an hour there. Cheever came in from 5th place. That moves Luyendyk, Jones, and the rest forward.
And looks like right there at the bottom of your picture, the 3 abreast, the white car on the left is Davy Jones, and he looked like he slowed a little bit coming off there. Arie's moved all the way past him.
Well, he's definitely slowing down a little bit, Danny. I don't know what his problems are. There's Tony Stewart in the pits.
So the leader of the race, Tony Stewart, is in, and Jack Arute is there.
Now there are 12 teams that have a brand new type of fuel nozzle. Rather than the sharp 90-degree angled nozzle, this one's a rounded nozzle, a little easier to get in. Team Menard makes the connection. They are going to change tires. Tony Stewart talking to his crew chief, Larry Curry, on the radio. You can see that he was shaking his head back and forth. The team said they are not going to make any changes whatsoever. A fairly uneventful pit stop in 16 flat and getting back up to speed. They were very, very careful. We've heard it before. The fuel mapping on the low end with these cars is a little dicey.
Eddie Cheever still in the pits, and it looks like he has a problem with the left rear of the car. Came in almost limping. It was hard to tell if he was just looking for the speed limit or if, in fact, he had a problem. This is the new leader of the race, Roberto Guerrero, the yellow and white number 21 Pennzoil car. And 2nd place is still Salazar. So Guerrero has been able to move forward. And at the same time, with the pit stops, Buddy Lazier has moved into 3rd place. And here is Eddie Cheever as he begins to roll back out and come up to speed.
And let's keep in mind that Roberto Guerrero right there in the 21 car, yellow and white, he's got a Cosworth engine in that thing, going to get better mileage than the Menard engines. Now, as the race goes on, we have to kind of follow this because it'll tell us how the pit stops are working and why.
So Roberto Guerrero back at the front of the field. But everyone should be headed for the pits here shortly, as Guerrero, former track record holder, the man who almost won the Indianapolis 500 but stalled on the final laps. And of course, Tony Stewart comes out in position to battle with him.
And also remember, if everybody wonders, did Tony Stewart come in too early? Well, the reason that it's risky to come in too early is hypothetically if it went yellow right now, Tony Stewart would have been hurt because he came in under the green. So you always want to go as long as you can so you can look for the yellow flags.
Now when Tony Stewart, Danny, came out of the pits, you saw him, he actually came out ahead of Guerrero, but very wisely stayed wide in the corner and let his speed build up carefully.
Well, that's right. He's got new tires on and his fuel load's heavy. He's got it maxed out. He's got to get out there. He didn't have the speed that Roberto had, and Roberto quite smartly got by him. He wants to run in that clear air. There's Eliseo Salazar in the pits, but he moved past him, and now he's tucked right up there behind Guerrero. He'll probably make a run past him again. Now you forget Guerrero's got a pit here a few laps.
And which is exactly what Stewart knows.
Now you can look at Salazar's car just before they drop him off the jacks to go out. They lowered the right front wing down just 1/2 of a turn, which is a very minor adjustment thing. They want the front end to be a little tighter. Just the opposite of what we've seen with some of the cars spinning out today early on.
All right, so Tony Stewart has made his stop. And, of course, Roberto Guerrero and Buddy Lazier has not yet stopped. Neither one of those cars have, so they lead the race, and then everyone else is making their stops and beginning to fall now behind the lead of the race. This is the first time that Guerrero has led since 1987, Gary Gerald.
The pit stop for Eliseo Salazar, Paul, was sensational. 12.2, and I went and double-checked to make sure they got a full 40 gallons in. They said, yes, we did. The guy that was so impressive as a rookie last year is off to a terrific start. And remember, we were wondering if they were spread too thin with 7 cars for this Team Scandia. Very impressive first stop for Salazar.
So with his stop, Tony Stewart falls back through the field and sits down now in 12th place, but at 229 miles an hour the last lap.
And it looks like Roberto Guerrero is slowing to come into the pits. It's time for him. He's got to slow it down there. Now, by the time he crosses that white line right there, he's got to be down. Right there, he's got to be down at 100 miles an hour. And they said they're not going to give him any fudge factor. It can't be 101 or 102, 100 miles an hour. Jack?
Well, Danny, Roberto Guerrero now has to find his marks at over 100 miles an hour after traveling twice that speed. The crew waves him in. It's kind of like coming in and finding your marks as an actor. He's done it before and does it very, very well. John Barnes, calling the shots from the other side of pit wall, said no major changes, no chassis adjustments, just try and clean the radiator inlets out just a little bit, make sure there's no debris. Now they're using an older system, vent system, for their fuel, and they are up and away in 17.1. John Barnes, that was a terrific stop for you guys. A great stop.
Yeah, it was great. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, but
John Barnes has a crew. He does a real good job.
But interesting in comparison with the Salazar stop, 5 seconds faster.
Yeah, and 5 seconds, don't forget, is about 500 yards on the track. And Bobby, something interesting, Guerrero went out there with stickers on those tires. Those are brand new tires.
Yes, so, you know, that shows, Danny, maybe the thermostatic problem isn't nearly as bad as we wondered about early on, doesn't it?
It does, but the one other thing that shows to me is that they don't have all their tires scrubbed in as well.
Let's go to Jack.
Well, Larry Lyondike, they are making major chassis adjustments going down a full turn on the front wing. They're having a problem on the right rear. They had a problem finishing off the lug nut. They've completed it. This is a long stop. And remember, guys, all those positions he gained under green flag conditions, they just went away under a green flag stop.
So Arie Luyendyk makes his stop. He's back into the fight. Buddy Lazier is the leader of the race. He has just completed the 40th lap. Arie Luyendyk was in second when he went in, but he will fall back. And we wait now only for the stop of Buddy Lazier. The pit stop's complete. There is your leader. That's Tony Stewart. He's been running when he's free at over 226 miles an hour, well faster than most of the field. Now, this is the 51st year Goodyear blimp has flown over the Indianapolis 500, and today it's the Goodyear blimp, the Spirit of Akron, helping give you great coverage shots of the Indy 500. Guerrero is in second, Salazar is third, Lazier dropped to fourth. Now, what about that story of the rookies in this 500-mile race field? How have they fared thus far as we've just crossed over the 100th mile? Well, you take a look at them. Stewart's fine. Jourdain dropping. Calkins dropping. Looks like they're being careful.
I think they're being careful, but of course this is after the first stop. They were probably really cautious in that first stop, just to get on the marks, not speed, anything like that.
And we have seen some rather varied times while we were away. Buddy Lazier's stop for 20.9 seconds as the leader of the race. And that brought him out way down in the order. He came out in fourth, so he lost 3 positions while in the pits. And they were struggling with the left rear of the car. This is Eliseo Salazar. And we're going to go back and take a look for Ari Lyondike. Red and white number 5. Lyondike, there he is, lies in 5th place.
Just moving out. Something interesting from those first stops was Stewart, who took on a full fuel load. He had stopped on lap 31. Lazier stopped on lap 41. That means over the course of the race that Stewart's going to have to pit 2 more times than Lazier.
They certainly pitted Stewart too early, I think, Danny.
You think that was a conservative stop?
I think it was them worrying about it and way too conservative, and maybe their electronics aren't transmitting to the pits and telling them where the fuel or what the fuel usage has been.
Or Bobby, do you think that possibly they had everything, the boost turned up everything maximum, and was, you know, he ran those laps, he actually ran a 2:34 laps, that maybe he just used up more than everybody else?
Still too much fuel even at those kind of speeds, I think, Danny.
Well, race controls now reporting, and this is not a big surprise, Racing Gardner with a name like that. He might speed in the pits. He has. He's going to get a black flag stop-and-go penalty. Johnny O'Connell, the white 75 car, slows and heads down into the pit area. And you see Michele Alboreto, who, there he is, the 33 car. He is very slow into the pits. Let's check in with Jerry Punch.
Guys, I'm with Rick Campbell, Goodyear's chief engineer. And Rick, what is the tire wear situation? I understand Davy Jones may have had a right rear wearing a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's to be expected this part of the race. We have a very green racetrack we're dealing with. And I think a lot of it's dependent on car balance and driver preference. Most of the guys that we've seen are having very good success with the optional tire that they qualified on, and they're going back to it on the second stop. So I think most of the changes you're seeing are more a result of handling than it is a tire wear issue.
All right, most of the Goodyear guys staying with the optional tire. Let's go to Gary Gerald.
We're in the pit of Michele Alboreto, who started 12th. He's sliding backwards, and what started out as a gearbox problem, losing 6th gear, is now complicating itself. It's working its way through the gearbox. The car has just rolled in here, and now they've shut the engine down. We expect that they're going to work and try to change gears and get him out. This is going to be a long, costly stop for Michele Alboreto. Let's go to Jack.
Well, before we go to Jack, this is
Johnny
the 16
Parsons
car of
down
Johnny
here.
Parsons Jr. Exactly, Bobby. Looks like he had an engine let go, and as a result of this, they've gone yellow. He stayed up fairly high on the racetrack when the engine let go. He's down low now. Jack Arute?
Well, Paul, this is Larry Curry. As that caution came out, I was about to ask him. Wait a minute, first let's get a report here.
Stu says he's 4 laps from the scheduled pitch, and he pit when the pit's open.
Yes.
Well, there you go. I wanted to ask you, Larry, was that call on Tony Stewart, was that conservative on your part, or are you chewing up that much fuel?
We're chewing up fuel. We're running race laps at 228, and we're turning the boost out. We're in the tallest gear, but these cool conditions, we're just running so quick right now that...
Hey, yeah, but when do you start to get conservative?
As long as we keep getting these yellows, this actually helps us. We don't have to get as good a mileage. We figured with the mileage at 230 mile an hour race laps, we only have to get 156 to finish it versus 1.8, so we can burn some fuel.
Now what he's talking about there is USAC mandates a 1.8 mile per gallon for fuel consumption. They only give all the entrants here 248 gallons of methanol. But with the cautions, you can, as Larry Curry said, turn it up just a little bit in terms of speed. Paul?
So under yellow, once again, this time for the blown engine of Johnny Parsons Jr. 50 of the 200 laps are complete with rookie Tony Stewart in the lead. We'll be back with more after this message and a word from our ABC station.
The 80th running of the Indianapolis 500 continues on ABC's Wide World of Sport.
Well, we're still under yellow in the 80th Indianapolis 500. Here is the Valvoline race summary after 50 laps. The leader, of course, was Tony Stewart. He's averaging 152.7 miles an hour, well off the record pace set by Ari Lyondike at 185. But we've been punctuated with cautions throughout the day. You can see the breakout on the cautions there. And, of course, we're still under the yellow flag here at the Speedway. So, we have the cars out of race, and that's Johnny Unser and then Paul Durant, John Paul Jr., and most likely we'll see Johnny Parsons' name added to that list. Tonight on ABC, following America's Funniest Home Videos and Lois and Clark, Susan Lucci and Barry Bostwick star in the erotic thriller Between Love and Hate on the Sunday night movie. And tomorrow night, Peter Falk stars in a Columbo mystery movie, Columbo Goes Undercover. Then the all-new AFI salute to Clint Eastwood with the biggest names in Hollywood. It's all new tomorrow night here on ABC. Jackaroo?
Well, Paul, let's update you on Arie Luyendyk. You documented that one time he hit the wall, just smacked it a little bit. Well, guess what? Just a couple of laps ago under green flag conditions, he smacked the wall again ever so slightly. They were concerned about tires. Everything seems to be okay, but here's what's wrong with Arie's car. Consider this the nose of Arie's car and the rear of Arie's car. When he goes into a corner, as he turns the car, instead of it turning this way, it's going this way right out to the wall. Now you call that a push condition or understeer. Now remember in the last stop, they did turn on the front wing. According to his crew chief, Bruce McCandless, they got to do some more wing turning next pit stop to get the looseness out. I mean, the push out.
Either that, Jack, or put a little bit more stagger in the tires would help it.
Gary?
Well, different kinds of problems for Eddie Cheever, who started inside in the second row, started fourth. He slipped back and on the first stop had a problem on a spindle that cost him. He was very emotional, very upset, according to the crew on the radio. What they've tried to do with the second stop is get him calmed down. They're not too concerned, even though they slid all the way down to the 21st position, because they say we were running laps at 230 miles per hour. If he can get that in that rhythm, he may be able to get up through the field. Jerry?
51-year-old Johnny Parsons just stepped out of his 93 Lola. And Johnny, it was a short day for you. What happened?
Unfortunately, something got in the radiator and cooked the engine, and that took us out. But, you know, the Electech Firestone car was just handling real good. We want to thank National City for getting on board at the last minute. Car felt good, Jerry. At the beginning, it was a little loose. So Billy Bignotti put a little more wicker on it, and I think we were right there, you know, staying on the same lap as the leaders. And that's not bad, you know, and I'm sure we would have had a good finish.
That's Johnny Parsons as Tony Stewart makes his way on the pit road, Paul.
Yep, still under the yellow, Tony Stewart coming down, Jack.
Well, remember we heard the conversation with Larry Curry. They were going to bring him in 4 laps. This is a normal pit stop, the luxury of the caution. Now, what's great about this, guys, is you can be very certain about what you're doing. Make sure all the jobs are done completely. Now, listen to the car as it goes out. See how deliberate that sound is? They want to make sure that everything's absolutely perfect on the exit.
Let's all keep in mind, too, that the Menards have problems getting out of the pits, I'm sorry. And you can hear his not running as good like as the Cosworth might. They have problems because they run them really lean when they leave the pits.
So Tony Stewart tops off. We'll take a look at the full field rundown with Tony Stewart, the rookie, at the top of the field, and that's the entire rundown. That was after 53 laps. Now we're under yellow, though. The field is now fairly well gathered up as you look through the entire 33-car list, with, of course, 4 cars now being listed out of the field. And we anticipate that pace car will be going back up to speed and heading for the pit shortly. Mike Croft has been reporting problems with his pop-off valve, and Johnny O'Connell came to a stop on the pit road as well during the last few minutes, and so we'll keep track of both of those for you. What about Eliseo Salazar? What a nice stop the first one was, Gary Gerald.
Second one, Paul, didn't go nearly as well, but they had the luxury of yellow flag conditions. Remember the first one at 12.2, terrific time. The second time he came in, Dick Simon, who's on the radio with Salazar, said, we're in the window, we're positioned, the car's working great. The only problem was stalled the engine this time on trying to get out. But with the yellow, he only slipped down on the pylon, Paul, to the number 8 position. So Salazar still very much a factor. Jerry?
Well, rookie Johnny O'Connell sits on pit road, Gary, with the engine cowling removed, and they've been trying to work over the car. Now Clayton Cunningham, who owns the car, talking with the crew. Let me get a quick comment from Clayton. Clayton, what is the problem with the car?
It appears to have stripped the fuel pump drive quill. It's a mechanical fuel pump inside the pump that's driven from the front of the motor, and there's a flexible shaft that drives it, and it appears to have stripped.
Any chance you can get it fixed?
No, you'd have to pull the engine out to get to it.
Okay, that's the sad news for rookie Johnny O'Connell. Paul?
Well, that is sad news as well. Johnny O'Connell with a major problem out of the run. Guy that worked so hard to get in here, came in here third in the IRL points.
and then he struggled and didn't get out until the Monday of the second week. Fought to get some sponsorships, and he's working 12-hour days on the phone. Finally got out, and to have something like this happen, that's really frustrating, not only for he, but also his crew.
Those fuel pumps are down in the front of the engine where they have an awful lot of heat. Even though the alcohol, the methanol, as Jack mentions, it cools everything off, they still have an awful lot of heat. Every time you shut them off, it's in a compressed area down there where the heat doesn't get dissipated. That often fries the fuel pumps a little bit.
Remember, too, that next year they're going to change the formula here for Indy. The turbochargers will be gone back to the normally aspirated engine. As they go green once again, Wayne Sweeney, the starter here in his 17th year, he'll retire after this. So we get a look at the leader of the race, Roberto Guerrero. There he is in the middle of the traffic, and looking back, Lyondike and Lazier battle for second place. Lyondike, for the moment, has it, but Lazier's got a little clear run off the corner. Lazier back into second. Lyondike to third. Tony Stewart is fourth in this run, and Stefan Gregoire is fifth, followed by Zampedri, Jones, and Salazar, but the battle is at second.
Well, that Lyondike really woke that Lazier up. That buddy really took off. They came through turn two. It was a flat-out race, Paul.
I'll tell you what, Buddy Lazier made a great move there. He just didn't give up. And I think we see there, too, Bobby, how much grip this track has. He just hung right in there, went right around the corner with him, and never lost an inch.
The tires and the track, that's where all the speed, or most of the speed, has come from this year, and it's just fabulous. When you can see two cars that can run side by side, like those two did, Buddy, Lazier and Lyondike, that's awesome here, Danny.
It was, and Bobby, also on the outside, when they went in there, they were actually three abreast. There was a slower car that they were lapping. That was some pretty exciting racing going into turn one this early in the race.
So Tony Stewart has come up to try and challenge Arie Lyondike. They've been having to deal with traffic, but you saw at one point Stewart was almost alongside, almost past. Lyondike held him off. Now here comes Stewart continuing to make the challenge.
Bobby, did you see how that slower car moved over there for Tony Stewart? I never seemed to get that when I was racing.
No, Danny, you always hope for it, but didn't happen very often. But I think, no, he wasn't really going that fast. But I think what happens is these rookies, we've had so many of them this year, they've had more instruction than they used to have in our day.
59 laps complete. You ride on the front now, the fourth place car. Tony Stewart, the rookie pole sitter here. There is Buddy Lazier. He runs in second place, trying to run down the leader, Roberto Guerrero. 59 laps, that means we're well underway here. It started the day with rain at Indianapolis, but they got started a little bit late, but started nonetheless. And right now, the good news is the sky looks like it is clearing. Lyondike gets caught down low in turn one. Stewart closes in on the back.
Well, I think I spoke too soon. That guy didn't move over Ferrari, and that was some pretty close racing. These guys are all having to go out there right now.
You know, it's very difficult for a guy being lapped here. I've only been that way a couple of times in my life at this racetrack, but you know, when you have fast cars in front of you and fast cars behind you and you're getting lapped, it's really difficult to watch both ends at one time.
Bobby, you got to be real careful. We got records on all your laps here, pal.
Yeah.
So now, as we continue to watch this battle, Gary Gerald has Michele Alboreto out of the race.
Michele, we know you had problems with the gearbox. Once you lost sixth gear, it just got progressively worse. What were the conditions like? Were you ever able to race fully effectively today?
Yes, unfortunately, I started quite well. I was in the first part of the race just to control the situation, and I lost the sixth gear after 15 laps, 20 laps. And then the gearbox became even worse and worse, and I lost all the gears now, so there is nothing to do. But the condition side is very good. Everybody making a good job at the start, and everything is fine.
Thank you.
Continuing to track Arie Lyondike there in the box in the upper right-hand corner. That's Stefan Gregoire. Was the fastest rookie when he came here. And he has had a nice run. Started 13th up to 5th, but now obviously there's some serious trouble there.
I think what we ought to look at now, too, is that Arie and Tony have gotten through the traffic, and now we'll see what who's got the speed, because they're out there pretty much by themselves, and we'll see how these guys shape up. Of course, there's Arie going through our screen right now, and Tony Stewart is right behind him.
But you know, I talked to Buddy Lazier last night before the sun went down, and Buddy was really not going to attempt or not going to put a lot of effort in trying to lead the race. He would like to run second or third. putting a lot more attention to winning the race rather than leading.
And as we check our Valvoline speed chart, we see the laps that Tony Stewart has been reeling off, and they have been very impressive. 232.9 for Ari Luyendyk on the last lap. Roberto Guerrero, the leader in traffic, 224.8. Now, we saw Stefan Gregoire in the pits a few moments ago. Jerry Punch, what's his status?
Paul, it's a coil pack on top of the engine. Apparently one of the coils has melted. I just looked at the car a moment ago. It looks like it's been a fire on top of the engine. So much heat. The coil, both coils, as a matter of fact, have completely melted. I'll have to disassemble the coil pack, replace that, and he should be able to go back out.
On the last lap, Ari Luyendyk at 232.9 miles an hour as he continues to chase Buddy Lazier.
Well, I guess that understeer that he was having and those adjustments they made in the pits, I guess they're getting it a little bit more right. Wouldn't you think, Bobby?
Yes, he definitely have. He's handling very good. And remember, he's running behind Buddy Lazier there in the purple car. Ron Hamilgarn's car. He's getting dirty air back there, so he's got the worst of the deal. Buddy, of course, is running in clean air. He can run kind of where he wants, and he's going to run a little bit where he makes sure he gives him dirty air behind.
Well, there's going to be some dirty air, but he also yanks him down those two straightaways by breaking that air for him, and that toe helps Ari a little bit. You can see right there the gap behind him. There was no Tony Stewart in that gap, so Ari's obviously pulling away. Looks like his car's handling awful well.
That's a deal of fuel. Tony Stewart, everything we watch today, as long as he stays in this race, will be predicated on fuel consumption.
I don't know what that was, Bobby, but did you see his hand going down like he shifted up to a taller gear? He might be pulling a lot of RPM, being behind Lazier, and he looked like he shifted it into sixth there.
Yes, and that's another thing we'll mention to the folks, that everybody in this race has two gears, one for like an overdrive and one for speed. And
Bobby,
they'll do those.
Bobby, that's exactly what they started. Tony Stewart's team talked about having what they called a cruise gear when they weren't in traffic. They wanted to maintain a certain RPM. So in sixth gear, there's one gear set up when he's out in clean air, and then in the fifth gear, there's another setup that he can run when he's in the draft. Remember the day before qualifying, Tony Stewart caught a draft when he was in that high gear, and he blew the motor. So they got to go back and forth, but that's one of their strategies here.
Right on, Jack, and remember, fifth gear, the one that turns the most RPM, the go gear, that uses more fuel.
Well, one thing I've noticed here too, guys, is that Ari Luyendyk seems to be shifting up and down as he goes down the straightaway some way, but he's really not making any ground on Buddy Lazier. They're now turning about the same time, but he's not right up behind him, is he, Bobby?
No, and then it's what you said. It's easy to get that draft to move up. It's a lot harder to pass because the air gets more turbulent as he gets closer.
But with this battle, Roberto Guerrero's lead has been whittling down. Buddy Lazier is very definitely catching him.
Of the Indianapolis 500. This special presentation on ABC's Wide World of Sports is brought to you by TM8 Engine Treatment from Valvoline. TM8 significantly reduces engine bearing wear. Genuine Chevrolet, the cars more Americans trust. Goodyear, #1 in tires. And Original Coors, pure and simple, the last real beer.
Back at Indianapolis, we are under yellow here. Debris on the track is the reason for the yellow, and so most of the field now heading down on the pit road for stops, and some developments will continue to track this. The leader, of course, is Roberto Guerrero. He leads that group in. Buddy Lazier second, Ari Luyendyk third. They are all right in order there. Fourth place car is back in the line. That is Eliseo Salazar, and then Davy Jones and Alessandro Zampedri. So we watch Luyendyk.
This is going to be the time, Paul, this is going to be the time to see how good the pit crews are right now. Let's see who's first out. They all came in together.
Let's go to Jack.
Well, as Roberto Guerrero gets his service, so does Tony Stewart. Now, Tony had a little bit of a problem just before the yellow flag came out. They've been adjusting on the boost pressure just a bit, and it leads me to believe they might be trying to conserve fuel. But what happened, according to the engineer, is that Tony may have gone the wrong way and literally popped the valve off. And that caution allowed him to get it back reseated. Larry, we understand that maybe Tony had actually popped the valve, and that caution was fortuitous for you because you could get it reseated, right?
Yeah, we wasn't sure. You know, we heard it, but all the vitals looked good, and so we decided that we go ahead and take advantage of the caution, which seems to be fine.
And boy, what a drama we have in Roberto Guerrero. The stop went long. They reseated the fuel several times. Finally, they got him rolling out. Then he stalled the car, reminiscent of previous race, and now he's rolling.
And Paul, I've also got to mention that contest that I talked about when they all came in the pits together. The Ron Himmelgarn, Ron Dawes, the chief mechanic, beat everybody else with Buddy Lazier's car out. Now that's the kind of pit stops I like to see.
A car stopped on the circuit.
Looks like Scott Harrington in the 44
exactly
car.
Who it is. Remember, he had his problems earlier in the day, and he just wants to get going. Now, well, we'll keep track of him. Don't forget that Saturday, ABC's Professional Bowlers Tour will roll into Connecticut for the Greater Hartford Open. And the top stars of the PGA Tour meet at Jack's Place for one of golf's premier events. Join us for the Memorial Tournament sponsored by Dean Witter. That's Saturday here on ABC Sports. So under yet another yellow, and this is the 5th of the day. A number of interesting circumstances developing. We saw the stopped car of Scott Harrington, and we saw the problems for Roberto Guerrero. So let's take a look at how we update the stories that we mentioned right at the start of the race to you. First of all, there was that question of attrition. Well, that doesn't seem to be abnormal in any sense of the word. The attrition about where we expected it to be. Ari Leyendijk, second fastest qualifier, carved his way through that field. Been up at the front now, third. Danny Angayas, well, he's 33rd, had problems in his day, but back up to 13th place after starting in 33rd. And Team Menard, look at their cars. Interesting combinations, but Stewart still very much in the fight. Let's go down to we take a look at the rookies. 17 started, 6 are in the top 15, so the rookies doing very well. Let's go to Jack Arute.
Well, remember we've been talking about the 12 teams that have the brand new type of fueling nozzle. Well, here it is, and the way it works, you have to push it in, turn it, and push it again. That's the problem when Roberto Guerrero stopped. They pushed it in, they didn't get it turned, couldn't get it seated. They didn't get the fuel in the amount of time they were supposed to. They had a problem.
Once again, this yellow was for debris. There was a piece of a pit board on the front stretch. They were also looking at the back. And so we're under yellow now with 71 laps complete. Indianapolis, Davy Jones becomes the 4th leader today, following in the line of Stewart, Lazier, Roberto Guerrero. Buddy Lazier, of course, is driving with fractured vertebrae, and he has that special seat. Then Tony Stewart, the rookie. Eliseo Salazar, veteran here. Alessandro Zampedri and Ari Leyendijk. Those are the top 6 in the field, still under the yellow. Now, one of the drivers being reported out is Marco Greco, Gary Gerald.
Motor problems have put you out of the race, Marco, but what I'm curious about, what is the month of May driving for A.J. Foyt been like for a Brazilian driver?
Well, it's great for work with a man like him because he's really a winner. He won not on the race, but he won with me. I really like AJ with the opportunity he gave me, and I look forward if there is any possibility more to work together again.
Thank you.
All right, you saw Davy Jones make a quick move at the front of the field as we've gone back green, and they did it without warning for us. So we continue now to watch that battle. Lazier, Stewart, Leyendijk, they're all right together.
And also keep in mind,
car, that's Buddy Lazier, and that's Stewart chasing him in the bright yellow and orange car, Bobby.
And also keep in mind, Davy Jones did not pit. He's light on fuel. All these other guys, like Buddy Lazier right there in the purple car, right behind him is Tony Stewart. They have full loads of fuel in their cars.
I think what we're seeing here is a little bit of strategy. I think that's probably Gallus Racing betting that they're going to go yellow soon.
And that's Rick Gallus. He's a good strategist. He's watched guys like Roger Penske operate for years. So he's gambling something else, Danny, like hoping for another yellow.
Leyendijk jumped out, moved around 4th place. Alessandro Zampedri picked up 4th place. It's Jones, Lazier, Stewart, Leyendijk. Keeping the track on Ari Leyendijk, the red and white car number 5. Jones, apparently his owner, Rick Ellis. There's Lazier, there's the 2nd place car, and there is Stewart, and there is Leyendijk. That's the top 4 for you.
It's developing into a good race, Paul.
So tracking the battle at the front of the field. First 4 positions. They're running together on the racetrack. Jones turned the last lap at 226, while Lazier was up at 227.2 miles an hour. There's Stewart.
And interesting enough, like coming through turn 2, almost all of their grooves are virtually identical right now. Something we didn't have early in the race, Paul.
On board, Arie Luyendyk has been the fastest car through the early part of the race, matching the laps of Tony Stewart, exceeding them. Stewart trying to close on Buddy Lazier. Here comes Luyendyk. Jones is still the leader of the race by 3.6 seconds. Sorry, Bobby.
We know that Luyendyk's car is handling better than it was earlier, and you can watch it as he goes through the turns. He seems to be very sure, not coming near the walls anymore.
It looks like, too, there with Tony Stewart closing a little bit on Buddy Lazier, that maybe their strategy on this fuel run is going to be a little bit different.
So Stewart sets up on the back of Luyendyk, while the leader of the race is Davy Jones, Jack.
Well, let's talk about Davy Jones. You were speculating as to maybe there was some strategy being pulled by Rick Gallis. That indeed is the case. What Rick is trying to do is back the race back up, get Davy Jones back in sequence. Why? Because when they came in their first green flag stop, they had a full tank of fuel. Paul?
Back on board with Tony Stewart, and there is Buddy Lazier just ahead. Barely 100 yards separates them, and Stewart very much on the charge, trying to make up the difference as they thread their way through the 4th corner. And my question would be, are those tire fragments we're looking at on the screen, you think, Danny?
Well, I think what we saw was when he went down into 3, he got it. So I would assume there's probably a little dirt still left on the track.
That's pretty easy to be happening now, especially where the track goes so close to the grass down there. And that really wouldn't affect the handling yet, but it certainly looks bad on the camera lens.
So Stewart makes the move. It's Jones, Lazier, Stewart, Luyendyk, Zampedri, Salazar, and 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th are fairly tight on the course.
And you notice there, too, that Tony Stewart was very close behind Lazier, looking like he was going to make a pass, and now he's backed up to Arie, and Arie looks like he's closing on him. I don't know whether he turned his boost back down, they asked him to back off, or he just didn't like the disturbed air once he got behind Lazier's car.
I think another thing right now is Jones. Fastest he's been running is right now, he's up to almost 230 miles an hour now. That's really fast for him. He's been a little bit slower than that all day.
Here comes Luyendyk again, and something's happened with Stewart. Stewart suddenly slows. Danny, you were watching his speed, and it fell off a little bit, didn't it?
Yes, but not as much as this. He's definitely got a problem. He didn't go in
the back of the car there. There's a plume of something.
Yeah, but and you can hear it a little bit. I think it sounds a little off song. But he's still going around. He didn't come into the pits. Is he going to come in there? No.
Larry Curry, the crew chief.
You know,
as Stewart comes down the main stretch, we are under green. That engine is going.
You can see the smoke off the right side of the car. I think what he was doing was calling in to why he didn't pit was, hey, Larry, what should I do? Do you want me to keep going? Do you want me to pit?
It's doomsday. He won't be able to go very long.
Let's go to Jack.
Let's see, Larry, what's wrong?
Pop-off valve started malfunctioning on the last run. Hung the valve open. It looks like we broke the motor.
Yes, as he went by me down here, there's the smoke coming out pretty fast. As he went by here, he had a cylinder not running on the 6-cylinder engine, only had 5 cylinders. That's doomsday. Tony Stewart will be out.
You heard Larry Curry pronounce, might be a little bit of oil fire in the left rear of that car. Larry Curry, of course, pronouncing it out. And so now he joins Walt Faulkner and Teo Fabi as rookie pole sitters who do not win the Indianapolis 500-mile race. No rookie pole sitters ever accomplished that.
And Bobby, I've got a question for you. Larry Curry said that they blew the pop-off valve, and that's what blew the motor. Does that make a lot of sense to you?
It does. So Larry is getting a little bit technical on his answer. What he's saying is when you blow the pop-off valve, everything works really hard. The back pressure in the exhaust system goes up. This causes problems, internal heat on the pistons inside. I know that's a little detail, Danny, but that's what he means. And he should have never been popping the pop-off valve this early. He should have never been running that engine with so much horsepower that close to the edge.
So Tony Stewart out while Eddie Cheever in the pits as well. You saw him come past Tony. Let's go back and look at the replay, but let's also listen to the onboard, and we'll hear the engine.
That's a terrible sounding engine. They don't sound good. They don't sound nice and smooth when they're not running right.
I don't know. Sounds like one I had when I was a kid. Eddie Cheever was into the pits, and he has stalled in the pits. He's not a factor at the front of the race. Here is where the battle exists right now, as Buddy Lazier is holding off Arie Luyendyk. But boy, Luyendyk has been running laps 223, 223.5. Here is Eddie Cheever as he came out of the pits just a moment ago. And that's when he got in trouble.
Oh, he didn't stall it.
That's not just a stall.
He almost spun. He spun the car. He half spun the car. That's why he stalled it. He had to stop it. He was losing control of the car.
I think that'd just be about a legal spin, wouldn't you think, Danny? Just almost there anyway.
Just about. That's why they had to pull him back and restart him.
Let's go to Jack Arute. Tony Stewart out of the race, Jack.
He's taking the air.
Whoa,
look at there.
Arie Luyendyk jumps around Buddy Lazier as Lazier gets caught up behind Lynn St. James. Now, Jack.
Well, you lead 1 minute and then you're out of the race, and Arie Luyendyk makes moves. But Tony Stewart, you were messing with the pop-off valve, trying to maybe control some fuel, and then it popped off. And then we heard on board camera later, a couple of laps back to green, that the motor died.
Well, it's one of USAC's junk pop-off valves. At least next year in the IRL, we go to normally aspirated motors, and we don't have to worry about that garbage. So,
What about the track conditions? You know, we're seeing some awfully fast speeds. We're seeing some good, solid racing.
Well, the track's great. You know, everyone's using their head. Everyone's being very careful and running smart races right now. The lap cars are looking in their mirrors. Everybody's running good. I mean, it's a fun race out there right now. It's just a shame that we're in here.
Paul?
Well, we've got a number of purple cars, and I do apologize because the 91 car, Buddy Lazier, purple trimmed with a little yellow, is still in second place ahead. Well, maybe not for long. So maybe I spoke too soon. Luyendyk moves. That still doesn't get him at this point.
You know, Paul, I made the same mistake. I have two cars above the Emma car that look almost identically the same, so we all did it. Can't blame just you.
Well, they actually have three, and the thing to watch for on the car is you look at the front shot of it, see those vertical yellow stripes down inside the wheels? That's the indicator.
And I think something we just missed while this pass was being a 10th was that Jones just went and peeled off and went into the pits. So he's pitted under green.
Now remember, Davey was behind on the pit stop because he didn't stop in the last yellow. So as Danny said, pitting on the green is going to hurt him a lot. But it was Rick Gallis's gamble with the Delco car there.
Davy Jones makes his stop. Lazier is now the leader of the race with Arie Luyendyk right behind him and trying to take that lead away. Jones drops into third. Johnny O'Connell, we mentioned out of the race earlier, Jerry Punch.
And Johnny's 10th with me. Johnny, what a disappointment. You had to work so hard to be able to get sponsorship and get into the race, and it's a short day.
Yeah, you know, it was really unfortunate. We missed the first week here, and, you know, the guys did a great job. Mechanics Laundry saved us financially, as did Optima Batteries. And, you know, with us having an endurance background as a team, I was just biding my time. I mean, we'd gone from 29th to 14th by lap 50, and I'm like, all right, this is no problem, everything's cool. And then we started losing fuel pressure. So not certainly the way I wanted to debut at the Indianapolis 500, but we'll be back next year with a stronger effort.
Paul, he may not be driving anymore, but he is signing autographs. He didn't want to go back to the garage jury. He's standing out here on pit road talking to all the fans.
Well, the race average is picking up 153 miles an hour right now. Arie Luyendyk turned the last lap at 2:27 as he continues his pursuit of Buddy Lazier. Lazier is the leader of the race. He turned the last lap in traffic down 5 miles an hour slower at 222. Let's go to Jack Arute.
Davey Hamilton for A.J. Foyt. Take a look at this. These are the half shafts that go from the power plant, the transmission, to the rear wheels. Believe it or not, Hamilton has a problem with the half shaft, and what we're hearing is, if necessary, they intend to change these half shafts on Davey Hamilton's car. He's coming in right now, gentlemen.
You know, unfortunately, Jack, if one of those things were to break, it just guarantees you a wreck, because then only one tire would drive nobody could drive a car straight like that.
So Davey Hamilton began changing maybe the half shafts. He's 4 laps behind the race, running in 17th position. As another problem, this is Jourdain, and it looks like yet another engine problem, Danny.
Well, an engine or something from that right side. It could be something in his right hub, but that doesn't look good. When you've got smoke coming out of your car at this stage of the race, you're not going to go very far.
Battle for the lead goes down the backstretch. There it is, as Luyendyk inches forward. Looks like within a lap or two he could have him, if not sooner.
Well, I think what happened, Paul, is they most likely are both running in their cruise gears. And, for example, Luyendyk is getting a good tow. In other words, it's going easier on his car because Buddy is helping pull him around all the way around the racetrack because he's close enough to get the draft all the time.
As they flash across the line on the 91st lap, interval remains the same.
And you know what? With Arie Luyendyk, he might be sitting back there saying, I don't care if I pass the guy or not. I might just want to sit here and be comfortable, be pulled down the back straightaway, conserve a little fuel, and sit there and wait and see what happens.
And they're both handling extremely well. I watch them come through turn 2 over here, and you can just see the confidence that they have by the line that they take, Danny.
Interval closes in just a little bit.
Let's not forget one other thing, Bobby, that Arie Luyendyk does not have radio communication from the pits to him. So he might be just strategizing himself a little bit and waiting to see what unfolds.
Well, Buddy's team can make the decisions and he can follow, and I think that's basically what you're saying.
Traffic just ahead of the leader of the race. This gives Luyendyk an opportunity. They're on the backstretch as they close in, but the yellow comes out. And
number 10
so
over here. Number 10 car. The number 10 car, Brad Murphy, just came off of turn 2, whacked the wall pretty good, got sparks and fire off the magnesium wheels. So watch for him to come in, Paul.
So Brad Murphy, one of those.
That was under the yellow flag also. He came into the turn 2 high, Paul, slid right out, hit the wall. And I think he's probably heading for the pit.
So you're saying that the yellow actually came for something different, which was debris, and then Brad Murphy got into the wall.
Absolutely.
We'll be back after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
The 80th running of the Indianapolis 500 continues.
Well, back at the speedway, the yellow is out. The pace car is slowed on the backstretch, trying to get everybody gathered up. You're looking down from the Goodyear blimp, the Spirit of Akron. At the controls, Captain John Moran. The cameraman is Richard Morkel. So they sit up there. They give you some great shots of the day up in the haze. The skies have remained hazy. In fact, occasionally
Paul,
a sense of blue. What do you? Oh, is this the weatherman in turn 2?
Paul, I hate to interrupt. The pace car stopped down in turn 2, waiting for the cars to come around. Pace car wasn't able to get the leader. Too many laps go by before they open up the pits, so he stopped. Now Buddy Lazier's coming off of turn 2, and they'll catch up with him down in turn 3.
All right, so the pace car now inches forward as the field tries to catch him. Next Sunday at 1 Eastern, 3 Pacific on ABC Sports, we head to the Milwaukee Mile for the Miller 200. Last year, it was a photo finish as Paul Tracy took the checkered flag. This year, coverage begins Saturday with qualifying on ESPN2 and then the race itself next Sunday right here on ABC Sports. So we have a yellow. We're waiting for the pits to open as soon as the field is gathered up by the pace car. And this is 7th place Mike Groff. He's been steadily working his way up through the field. As we stay under yellow, the 10th of the day.
80th running of the Indianapolis 500. This special presentation on ABC's Wide World of Sports is brought to you by Chevrolet Trucks, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road. Valvoline DuraBlend, the #1 selling semi-synthetic motor oil. Tylenol, the pain reliever hospitals use most. And Goodyear, #1 in tires.
Back
second inning, and I got to tell you, some things have happened during this yellow, the 6th yellow of the race. Ari Lyondike, you can see he's in the pits. He's in trouble. Eliseo Salazar also heading for the pits, and the reason for all of this, we'll watch Lyondike as he starts to come out of the pits. He got in trouble. They were making the change to the wing, and he rolled forward, and then he stalled it. Now, up at the corner of the screen, upper left-hand corner, there is Buddy Lazier, and that's who he's most concerned about because he wants to get out ahead of Lazier. Now, when Lazier started rolling, Ari got anxious, and then this happened with Salazar. Salazar just drifted right down into the side, got up on the track, through the mud, stayed on the track. Both cars were able to continue on.
Well, he didn't just drift down, he turned down, and Ari had the lead. Right here, you'll see this yellow, see that cone on the left? Boom, he's there, he's in front, and Salazar just comes down.
Totally Salazar's fault. That looked like it was even intentional, although I don't believe it was.
No, but Ari at the blend line, that cone on the left-hand side, when they came out, was in lead.
There's no way that he couldn't have seen him, Danny.
See, now he gets rolling. And now you have to, I want you to look on your lower right screen. All right, now he's up to speed. Here comes Salazar in the green car in the back left. And there, see that yellow line across the track right there, the dotted yellow line. The dotted yellow line right there, right there, right there. So Ari has to get to that first, okay? We go forward. Here we go. Ari's there, he's got him, but it's close. And now Salazar's up there. And boom, he just chops down. Look at that.
And it's 2 lanes wide. There was no reason to do that.
He didn't have to do that. He could have gone around, and they could have sorted it out further around. And, of course, he spins himself up there. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Hard to believe that a veteran like Salazar would make that error. Jack Arute?
Well, at first they thought that Ari Lyondike was going to be able to exchange the nose, put new wings on. In fact, Lyondike, remember, the crew can't talk to him, kept saying, just don't let me get passed by the pace car. Just don't let me get passed by the pace car. Then they went back and they realized that in the rear wing area, down by the under tray, that too was cracked. And they had to break some of that off. So now, Gary Gerald, he's in here. He's going to go back, but he's going to have to limp around.
Well, Jack, while that was taking place, Eliseo Salazar came in, and there was significant damage to the left side pod. In fact, most unusual, a huge hole about 7 to 8 inches long, maybe 3 inches wide in the left side pod, down through the carbon fiber or the Kevlar. They patched it with tape. They've sent him back out, and now they're going to bring him back in on the next lap. And you can see the activity here on the wall as the crew gets tires ready. They didn't make the tire change. They will do that this time as they bring him in. So it's a scramble down here, but it looked like everything was going to be operational. You can see the side pod, left side, and it was nailed, and it left a gaping hole.
And look at Ari's front wing. It went right up in the air as well. That was a big hit. He came right down on him. That was a big hit, Bobby.
Here's Eliseo Salazar coming back in. Gary Gerald's still there.
Crew now over the wall, and here's the nose of the car. On the left side pod, you may be able to see where they've covered up with tape. It's about a foot long where they've made that repair. They're checking the suspension at the left front. The tire, we can see now that one of the upper suspension arms is bent, Paul, and this is going to create some real handling problems, I would think, for Eliseo Salazar. They're sending him out. Jack?
Well, as Alessandro Salazar makes his way, take a look at this. This is the piece that came off from the rear underwing area. Now, that's the part on the right side pod as it exits out close to the tire. They're going to tape it up, but this is going to definitely affect not only the downforce, but the handling on this race car for Ari Lyondike. Paul.
So, battling for the lead, Ari Lyondike in trouble. We'll go to Jerry Punch.
That's the right front tire off Rayson Gardner's 94 Lola. They bounced off the wall, and it was really wide. Rayson, what happened out there?
All the way from the start of the race, when the green flag dropped, I lost my gauges, and we had a really, really bad push there towards until I came in and we put some front wing in it, and it made up for a little bit of it, and I got going there a little bit better. But as soon as the tires went away again, it just started pushing it really bad again. So I softened up the front sway bar a little bit, and that made quite a bit of difference. And I was running some pretty good laps there. People right there at the beginning, I was getting past pretty down. I almost felt like I was going backwards. You know, the push was so bad. It's just because we took the car apart there at last week, and did a lot of changes to it. We didn't have any time to go out there during carburation day and check it out. You know, couldn't get up to speeds because of the rain, and then there was a few spins and everything, and ended up just hitting the wall there coming out of 4.
That's slick racing Gardner. Paul?
Under the 6th yellow of the day, we've just passed the halfway point, so now, could any weather affect us? It is an official race with Davy Jones the leader. Back in Indianapolis under yellow, here is your Valvoline race summary at the halfway point. 100 laps as Davy Jones was the leader, averaging 147 miles an hour, not nearly a record. 4 different leaders, 7 different lead changes, and we're still on the 6th caution of the race. There are 11 cars being reported out. Durant, Unser, Johnny Unser, of course, John Paul Jr., Michele Alvaretto, all out of the race. Johnny O'Connell, Johnny Parsons Jr., Stefan Gregoire, Marco Greco, and the big name, Grayson Gardner, and then Tony Stewart and Brad Murphy with his brush up against the wall. Jerry Punch?
Reason for the latest caution, Brad Murphy, problem in turn 2. Brad, what happened out there?
I don't know exactly. The car just pushed on up to me, and I was trying to be smooth with it and not jerk it back down, and I didn't get it down quick enough. We said hello to turn 2.
Had the caution come out when you were trying to get slowed down?
Yeah, it had going into turn 1, and that's part of it. The car doesn't really like it when you slow down to those speeds. So I thought maybe it was a little slick there, and I just slid right up into the wall. I don't know what else to say.
Paul, former rodeo champion, had a wild ride in turn 2. Paul?
All right, Brad Murphy, Ari Lyondike, they're still working on that car. Why is he here? Well, it's what Danny and I and Bobby think might be the key moment in the first half of the race, though Tony Stewart was certainly a key moment when he went out. But this was it, Danny, as the leader comes by, Lyondike comes out, and then there's Salazar.
Well, that's right. Ari had stalled it, but now see, they're racing to that dotted yellow line right there. Ari got there a little bit in front. Salazar and him, there's plenty of room. They can sort it out, but Salazar just turns down. He just turned down right there on Ari, made heavy contact at that speed, of course, and damaged both of their cars. And now Ari's 3 laps behind, and Salazar's still working on his. One of the things that you all might have seen before the break, of course, is they kept coming in, going in and out of the pits. That is a strategy so they don't go a lap down to the field. Right before the pace car comes, they'll shoot out and come back into the pits.
All right, so a couple of things to mention. Scott Sharp, he started 21st. He's now 8th. Richie Hearn started 15th. He's now 6th. And after spinning on the first lap, Mark Dismore has moved up in the field and now runs in 8th place. And there is Robbie Buell running right now in 12th place. First view with his onboard camera today, so attrition very definitely playing a role. The third and final jewel in the Visa Triple Crown Challenge is Saturday, June 8th on ABC Sports. Join us for the 128th running of the Belmont Stakes. That's Saturday, live, June 8th, here on ABC Sports.
And Paul, I just wanted to mention, if everybody wonders why Salazar did so much spinning, just kept on spinning and spinning and spinning, again, it's because it rained all night or this morning, and it's very wet. Once you get water on the tires, there's just no adhesion between that and the pavement.
Well, as we look at the full field rundown at the conclusion of 103 laps, it's more than wet down there. That's almost a swamp, Gary Gerald.
Paul, we were checking with the crew and Dick Simon, who's on the radio with Salazar, to see if he gave any explanation for the contact, and he said no, there was nothing. He just radioed and said, I had contact with Lyondike. Let me show you, however, here's the toe link piece. This is what's bent on the left front suspension, this piece right here. They'll have to see how the car handles at speed, whether or not they have to change that. It's much easier to change that as opposed to having to change one of these entire suspension arms. Apparently they're rigid, solid, okay. But if you're going to have a bent toe link, it's better to have it on the left front, I'm told, because you may be able to still handle the race car. It's not as critical on that particular corner.
Yes, Gary, but it also could create an unsafe situation. Anytime the suspension is broken, it could be cracked. That could mean that it may break later on.
Hey, Gary, I've got a question for you. We wonder why Salazar turned down so sharp, and he spun, and he comes up with a flat right rear, but he never hit anything with the right rear.
Oh, the left rear, Danny, that was flat on his car.
Was it the left rear?
Yes, and that's where he got into. Lyondike was on the left side there.
I stand corrected. I'm sorry.
Yeah, all
Bobby,
the damage.
thank you.
All the damage that we saw when they came into the pit was strictly on the left side.
Well, Danny, it's just as confusing because the car was going around in so many circles.
Davy Jones is the leader of the race, but remember there is a 10-lap interval between the last time he stopped on lap 87 and the last time most of the front runners, with the exception of Richie Hearn, stopped. Now, as we're ready to pick the race back up, Arie Luyendyk has managed to get back into the fight, but he is 5 laps behind the lead of the race, running in 17th position. Top 5 cars are on the leader lap, and don't forget, last year you had Jacques Villeneuve go 2 laps down and come back to win the 500. And Arie Luyendyk's reporting to his crew, according to Jack Arute, that it's steering a little hard. Here comes the green flag. 105th lap. They're starting 106. They're looking for the leader at the starter stand. And there he is, Davy Jones, making the turn into the corner. Lazier, that purple car with the yellow verticals, that'll be the second place car, followed by Roberto Guerrero.
Now, a little story on Davy Jones, who is leading the race right now, Paul, is he was out of sequence on the pit stops with Rick Gallis before. Rick gambled on the yellows to try to get him back into sequence. Well, they're basically back in right now. They're not very far apart because the yellow flag helped.
Roberto Guerrero just moved out and around Lazier and picks up second place. So Roberto Guerrero, a little better momentum, I think, on the restart, Danny.
He had a great run off of turn 2 and just blew by Lazier is the best way to describe it. But, you know, Buddy might be conservative here and just working his way back through.
Obviously, Guerrero wanted to get up pretty hard. And remember, he has boost to run, give him extra speed, plus he can run in his racing gear, which is 5th instead of the cruising gear.
So a change at the second position of the field is Roberto Guerrero, who is looking very strong today. Moves out and into second place. Davy Jones still the leader, but he's been able to pull away just a bit. Now 3.1 seconds. There you see it as we continue to track the leader of the laps and the rest of the field up at the top of the screen. There's Davy Jones heading down to the corner. Now you look back, and there is Roberto Guerrero, closely followed by Buddy Lazier.
And don't forget, he's got a little bit lighter fuel load. Not a lot, but a little bit lighter. But he doesn't have as new tires as the other ones do, but he's got a little lighter fuel load, and that might be helping him. He's also out in front where he's got that clear air.
And then as Guerrero came into turn 2, entering the turn, getting down to the white line at the apex, he was wiggling a little bit. So I think he's running pretty hard.
109 laps complete. Davy Jones, the only car in the field with Mercedes-Benz power, out in front as he drives, of course, for Rick Gallis. Roberto Guerrero sits back in second place. Ford Cosworth there, Lazier, Zampedri, Groff, Hearn, Dismore. 110 laps complete. This battle at the front of the field for the moment is broken off, especially when you consider that on the last lap, Davy Jones turned the lap at 229.4 miles an hour. So the pace is still incredibly quick here, though the average for the race is at 143.6 miles an hour. We'll return with more from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway after this message and a word from our ABC station.
The Indianapolis 500 continues on ABC's Wide World of Sports.
Back at Indianapolis, no changes after 114 laps. Let's look at the rookies once again. Stewart, of course, out. The key story here, I think, is that the top 5 cars are all veterans. Richie Hearn, who started 15th and is now 6th, is the leading rookie in the race. And Danny Sullivan has been keeping track of some of the speeds and times on the last couple of laps.
Well, yeah, we haven't, you know, further down in the field, they're a few laps back, but Dismore ran a 2:27. Cheever, who's way down, ran a 2:34. Lazier's running around the 2:21 mark, and Jones, who's out there in the front, is posting speeds up as high as 2:28.
And after spinning on the first lap, Mark Dismore is now up to 7th.
You know what was really surprising is Salazar, with the bent front end that we know about, went out right after he hit the track with new tires and everything, went green. He turned 227, but he's obviously having some problems, Paul and Danny, because now he's down to around 213. So maybe he's wearing a tire out a little bit.
So there's the leader of the race, Davy Jones. You got a glimpse there for a while at the number 8 car of Alessandro Zampedri. He runs in 4th place. What a great run for that young man.
Now Richie Hearn in that number 4, just ahead right there to the left, that yellow car, just past Davy Jones. Now he's down a little ways, but he's really been coming to life. I've been watching down here in turn 2, how he runs up on him and finally just passed him. That means he gained 1 lap back now.
Well, what that does is puts him back on the leader lap. So
and he's running strong. He ran some 223s, 227 I saw earlier, but that makes me question a little bit, how's Davy's car handling? Or has he just got a pace and that's all he wants to do is go at that pace?
I think Davy's handling good. It's just a mere matter that Richie Hearn just been getting with it, and he's moving up. Right now he's the fastest car on the track.
Now remember, Davy Jones stopped last on the 87th lap. It's now lap 117. He is out of sequence with most of the rest of the field with the exception of Hearn. Eddie Cheever into the pits. His day has become very long and difficult.
You think that's a standard pit stop there, Bobby?
I don't know. He has had so many problems, Danny, I guess I can't guess on him anymore.
I've lost track, and I don't know whether he pitted in that last yellow.
Well, he came in 15th place, well off the lead of the race. Now we'll take a look at the interval. There is Davy Jones as he crosses the line, looking back to Guerrero. Right there it is. So the interval 6.2 seconds between Davy Jones, the leader, and Roberto Guerrero. And we've got a car in trouble. Driver climbs clear of it. Looks to be Velez.
It is Velez.
Hard to tell.
It is Velez, Paul, and he's right down here just past us, coming out of turn 2 is where it happened. He's on the inside wall right there.
So the yellow flag comes out. Is that, Bobby, could you tell, is that a crash, or did he just drive it there because of a fire or something? You
Paul,
know?
I can't tell. I just honestly, there's no skid marks going down there. My idea is he's an indentation on the wall. He just parked it there.
Yeah, maybe he knew the fire trucks were there and he wanted to get some assistance. So Davy Jones is the leader, and we're yellow once again at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. 118 laps of the 200 complete.
Indianapolis 500. This special presentation on ABC's Wide World of Sports is brought to you by TM8 engine treatment from Valvoline. TM8 significantly reduces engine bearing wear. Original Coors, pure and simple, the last real beer. Cadillac, the great performers are always creating a higher standard. And Goodyear, #1 in tires.
Still under the yellow at Indianapolis. ABC Sports will return here to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in August for the 3rd running of the NASCAR Brickyard 400. And then 2 weeks later, we're off to New Hampshire for the next stop on the Indy Racing League circuit, the New England 200. We've got great motorsports action all summer long right here on ABC Sports. Now, today's stories in the race is the field now finally getting a chance to head into the pits. Ari Landike, one of them. Attrition. Well, attrition has been a factor, though it still seems to be pacing the normal. And the remainder of the stories, Ari Landike, fastest qualifier. Well, he got up to 3rd. Now he's fallen back after that contact on Gaius. He's having a great day. Started 33rd, now 9th. Team Menard. Well, they're still keeping 3 cars in the run, and 2 of them are in the top 10 and could strike for the front. The rookies, 17 started. 3 of them are still in the top 10. So the rookies, led by Richie Hearn right now, are having one super day at Indianapolis. Under yellow at Indy, but while we were under yellow, look in the cockpit of Mike Groff's car as smoke suddenly started appearing at the front.
And you can tell he's got a hot seat right there. He's undoing the belts. He knows something's wrong. It's probably getting on his bottom there. He's hot pants.
And he knows it isn't fire. He knows it's water, and that's what that is steam coming out. And watch when he stops right here. Water just comes from everywhere.
Yeah, but when it comes to temperature, I don't know if I want hot water or fire. Let's go to Jerry Punch.
Well, Mike Groff has climbed out of the car. They're still spraying your car, Mike. What happened?
We just came in for a stop to try to get the balance a little bit better. We just kind of been driving around all day. You know, we haven't really been much of a threat here because the car's been understeering. Came in for a change, and we must have had a fuel spill or something. The car started smoking, and we came in and we put it out.
Your uniform's a little scorched. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. Actually, it looks like a wire shorted. They just, Tim just handed it up there, so we're done for today.
Now, Mike Groff will call it a day. Paul?
Well, Mike Groff was up in the top 5 for a moment there. The Goodyear blimp Spirit of Akron is hovering at 1,000 feet over the course, actually ducking low every now and then, cruising 35 miles an hour, and it contains almost 300,000 cubic feet of non-flammable helium, and it's the largest blimp in the world. There she is over the speedway. The ceiling's been moving a little bit. It's still very overcast. In fact, it's darkened down a little bit, and that's had some effect on the helicopters that help relay the onboard camera pictures. So if some of those seem absent, that is part of the reason. We'll try and get them up and operational whenever we can. Let's go to Gary Gerald.
Well, here's Lee Kunzman, a veteran of many races at this great place, and you're in here along with Ron Himmelgarn's team calling shots for Buddy Lazier. You now move to the head of the pylon in the #1 position, but it's been about 26 laps since you last pitted. So what's your strategy now, Lee?
Well, we'll go another 10 laps before we pit, and that'll leave us with 2 more to go the 200 laps. So hopefully we can, once we pit on this one, we'll have 2 after that, and it'll put us to the end with no problem.
So rather than risk having to pit on the green,
we have a total of 2 left.
Yeah, that's what you're gambling on. And the other guys you think may have to go, well, that would be 3 counting the one they just made. That sly little smile tells you a whole lot about the thinking going on from Lee Kunzman.
He's been around racing a long time. He's a cagey old guy.
And he was a great driver in his day. I've seen him lay down some laps that were spectacular.
That boy that's the chief mechanic on that car is the kid I raced since he was about 16 years old. So naturally, I'm kind of hoping they'll do good from that standpoint, too.
You have to be impartial, Bobby.
I am.
I mean, if your nephew's not here, you got to be very careful. All right, here we go as we're ready to go back to the green flag once again as we conclude yet another yellow session that has been most eventful. Unusual race, a lot of occurrences. The leader of the race will, of course, be the 91 car, it's purple, of Buddy Lazier. He will be chased by the 8 car, it's red, of Alessandro Zampedri.
Sorting themselves out in that traffic. There was a few close moments right there.
Roberto Guerrero, and it's right there in the center, the yellow and white car. There's Davy Jones. We're going to track them. Excuse me, Danny.
That's okay. There was just a lot of action going back there with Roberto trying to get through traffic. A couple of close moments, I thought, in turn 1.
And finally, he breaks clear.
He had a lot of traffic to get through, and he did a really good job. That was like threading a whole bunch of small needles for Guerrero there.
So Lazier leads by just over a second. And the field, there is Guerrero, looking back to 4th place. So with that yellow, the contact at the front of the field remains close. It remains a very close race.
Bobby, I can't believe how well his car must be handling or how well the grip is on this track, because sometimes he's coming off the corner, 20 feet off of the wall. Just seems like he can run anywhere he wants to go.
Yes, the track, again, is so good this year, Danny. Between that and the new tires, both Firestone and Goodyear made giant gains this year. The cars are absolutely remind me of the old days when we first put the ground effects on them. They're really, really, really stuck. Makes it awfully easy for the driving, but I envy those guys for that.
You saw as Guerrero came up on Jourdain, him point to the side that he wanted him to pass. He knew Guerrero was much faster and gave him the race course. They're also going to black flag Joe Gosick. They say he's spraying something out of the car, and there he is answering that black flag, the 43 car for the normal 00 Joe.
And of course, that's a safety issue. They don't want him to dump fluids on there that not only can cause an accident for himself, but could cause a bad situation for the rest of the field.
There's Davy Jones.
Looking for a way to get by.
There's Roberto. Roberto is just nibbling away at him.
Roberto at this moment is running only about a mile an hour faster. Well, he jumped up 3 miles an hour there on Davy, and a lot of that's traffic related. Depends on how clear of a track he gets, whether he gets a tow, a little movement going on right there.
You can see in the onboard that Davy Jones is engaging a lot of traffic, and there as Guerrero moves down to the inside and takes the position from Jones.
That was Guerrero right there in your white and yellow car, passing Davy Jones in the white and black car right behind him.
Davy Jones seems to work a little bit better in clean air than he does. If you notice that as soon as he gets in dirty air, he seems to slow down. So my thinking is they don't have that car working good in the disturbed, dirty type air.
And Davy Jones comes right back at Guerrero. Traffic very much a factor here as they have some slower traffic just ahead of them, slower at over 215 miles an hour. Dismore, who you saw just ahead, turned the last lap at 206 miles an hour. Buddy Lazier at 227. He's the leader after 129 laps. Is out when a car we've been following, Mark Dismore, got in trouble when the engine let go on his car. Here it is. He'd worked his way into the top 10 and was having a good day for Team Menard. And then suddenly this showed up, and boy, oh boy, it takes him out of the race. And there was the reaction of the crew. What a tough day they're having. 2 of their 4 cars now out of the race. The other one, of course, being the pole sitter, Tony Stewart. The Indianapolis 500 does not end with a checkered flag. It ends with a 500 victory banquet, which is tomorrow night at 9:30 Eastern. It'll be here. You can see it on ESPN2. It's held right here in Indianapolis. That's tomorrow night, 9:30 Eastern, the awards banquet on ESPN2. Gary Gerald.
Buddy Lazier gets a cool sip of refreshment. Remember all of the discomfort that he's had to face in recent weeks. Right now he's thinking about victory. He's blocked out the pain of all those fractures. The car's working beautifully. They think that this will be their next to last stop, and in just under 17 seconds, Buddy Lazier is back on course.
Oh, what a great story he's becoming as he goes straight out onto the track. Why?
I don't. Because there was an
ambulance. He saw the ambulance. Yeah, okay. So Buddy Lazier, boy, scared me for a moment there. I wondered what was going on.
He knew something we didn't know there for a little while.
So Buddy Lazier had terrible crash in the practice just before Phoenix. He shatters vertebrae in his back. He barely can walk through the pit area. He walks with the help of a cane, but he keeps a smile on his face and has that special seat, and now leads. Is up at the front of the Indy 500. Jerry Punch.
Standing with Fermin Velez, who just came out of the hospital. First of all, Fermin, you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. I just got a little hit on my lower back, but that's no problem. It's just that I don't know exactly what happened. Or something on the engine. I think a water line broke, or I don't know exactly. Something like this. A lot of smoke came in. The engine quit completely, and I felt a lot of heat on my back. So that happened between 1 and 2. So I pulled out after turn 2 in the left, and that was it. So just pretty sad. I'm not going to be able to finish the race, but at least I'm okay.
What about your impressions of your first Indy 500 start?
Oh, it's been a fantastic experience. I mean, I'm very happy to accomplish to start the race, and I've done at least half of the race. I just wanted to finish. I was taking really easy. I didn't want to take any chances. I was letting all the fast guys go by, and just concentrating on finishing the race, but it's not going to happen. But anyways, that's racing, and everybody did a very good job. My team Scandia, so it's okay.
Thank you, Fermin. Paul?
Fermin Velez, the first Spaniard to race in the Indy 500. We're under yellow. On board with Arie Luyendyk, who runs in 15th place, 5 laps behind the lead. That stop by Buddy Lazier dropped him back to 4th place. Roberto Guerrero picks up the lead, followed by Davy Jones and the rookie, Richie Hearn. Now let's take a look ahead to what we expect in the IRL. Well, on the 18th of August, we'll be in New England for the New England 200, and then the final race of the year at Las Vegas. And those races, of course, will be here on ABC. And then next year, early in January on the 25th, the Indy 200 at Walt Disney World, and the Phoenix 200, and then the Indy 500. And of course, the Indy 500 is the final race in their season each year.
Now, one of the stories, Paul, I want to bring up right now in the pits for the rest of the race. Now, Buddy Lazier, according to my calculation, only has to make one more stop to the end, as opposed to Richie Hearn and the number 70 car of Jones and the 21 of Guerrero all have to stop, according to my calculations, 2 times. That's going to make a big difference now in the outcome. Now we're getting to where the pit strategies are starting to really play an important role.
Well, of course, Bobby, that will, especially if it goes all green. But if we do have some yellows, that advantage, if you like, might go away.
Except that it still puts you back. If you stop, Danny, you'll still go back. In other words,
you will.
If Buddy doesn't have to stop, he should be able to retain the lead now. Or in other words, if the other guys have to do 2 and he does 1, he's going to stay in the lead.
All right, let's go to Gary Gerald.
Oh, just a quick mention on Eliseo Salazar. Of course, when we last left him, they were concerned about that suspension piece, the toe link on the left front. Just checked in with Dick Simon and the crew. They say the car is working remarkably well. No concerns about that, so they didn't have to change anything. He is down a lap to the leader, but he is in 6th position, so he may be looking at a great payday after all.
Yep, 5 cars on the lead lap as they continue to circle Indianapolis under our 8th caution of the day. Still under caution at Indianapolis, 138 laps of the 200 complete. Roberto Guerrero, that yellow and white car, is the leader of the race. The yellow is for an engine that let go on Mark Dismore's car, but Danny, they're being very careful about it, and it looks like they're going to try and clear the entire surface.
Well, they are, and they just laid some oil dry down in turn 1, and that came out pretty late. They must have discovered that they had some oil on the track.
And Danny, you notice as they got down to turn 2, they didn't get on the racetrack. They stayed right down the pit apron.
Right.
Let's go to the pits, Jack.
Paul, real quickly, during this caution period, John Barnes, the crew chief of Roberto Guerrero, went down to John Menard, who's helping with the shots on Eddie Cheever. And what he said is, look, can Cheever pull over and let Roberto go? He knows that Buddy Lazier is a guy that's trying to chase him down, and he wants to make Roberto Guerrero have clear sailing at the drop of the green flag. We don't know what the answer was to the request.
Well, can I say something about that, too? John Menard might say one thing,
by the way, as he tops off.
But Eddie Cheever might have other thoughts about that. He could make that request, but Eddie doesn't have to do it. And Eddie's not the easiest guy to get by. He might still want to run his race.
Record number of cautions in the Indy 500 came in 1988, 14 for 68 laps. That's the number of cautions. We're, of course, at the 8th caution. Number of laps, 1992, there were 85 laps worth of caution period. And again, we hope to go green at the conclusion of this lap. And the order will be Guerrero and Jones, and they're right together on the course. And in 3rd place, Lazier is back a few cars. Zampedri has the same problem, and so does Richie Hearn. But the leaders are going to be right together as we come back to the green flag, except, of course, they do have to deal with one obstacle.
Well, that's Eddie, and, of course, if Roberto gets by him, then does he also let Buddy by as well? And that's something he has to have that knowledge to know what to do.
Buddy's got a lot of traffic. He's set back in 11th place as they come down for the green.
We're green again on the 139th lap. And the 2 cars right behind the green car of Eddie Cheever are the key to the race. It's 1st and 2nd, Guerrero and Davy Jones. Cleanly through turn 1, and I don't think Cheever is caring a whole lot about who's behind him.
He's really blazing out through turn 2, and Eddie is absolutely pulling away from him, Paul.
Well, don't forget, he had run some laps previous to this with a 227. We'd actually seen
Jones tries to make a move to the outside, and he looks like he touches with Guerrero. Guerrero comes a little bit high. It looks like they got together. I don't want to say that for certain. What it looked like.
It was close. They were close.
Boy, that's a hard place to pass at any rate.
I'm still keeping an eye on both cars. I don't see anything obvious. Their handling seems the same. Their turn into turn 1 was sharp, so let's assume they're both okay, and let's assume for the moment that they didn't touch.
You can tell they both know that it's getting near the end of the race, because now these guys are really working it hard.
Well, I think what happened there, too, is Davey looked like he had a run off of turn 2 at him, and Roberto was down the middle. He thought, well, maybe I can sneak around the outside.
I don't know if they'd have gone through that turn wide open like that, though, Danny.
I sure don't either, Bobby.
You know, though the weather radar is not showing anything, maybe what in part they're looking at is off to the south side of the track, off of turn 1 and turn 2, the sky has begun to darken up and the air feels a little heavier. So maybe too, besides the position in the race at the 142nd lap, these guys are also beginning to be concerned about the potential of rain ending the race earlier. It doesn't seem likely, but it is possible.
I don't think it's going to happen, Paul, but the weather is certainly making the engines run awfully good right now.
So let's go back, take a look at that view from the blimp. These are those two cars, Danny. And Davy Jones trailing Roberto.
But Roberto's on the inside. Davy thinks, I got a draft, moves up, and boy, it was close.
They didn't touch. They didn't touch.
No, they did not touch.
I'll bet Davy said, wow, we on the outside is not the place to be for that.
Back a little further, Alessandro Zampedri and rookie Richie Hearn. The red car and the predominantly yellow with black trim car. There they are.
Those two right there, and that is for a position. That is for 4th and 5th.
Now Richie had been up near the front as far as the cars on the track. He made a pit stop. The last yellow, and he's back in sequence with most of them, with the exception of Buddy Lear's down one. Look at that.
Moves around Buell.
And an interesting.
And there is Hearn, the red car down at the bottom of the screen. So now Hearn is back in contact with Zampedri.
Hearn is actually a yellow car, and he passed.
Red cars, pardon me.
And he looks like he passed Zampedri there. The interesting thing, too, is Guerrero, Jones, Lazier are all running in the 229 bracket speed-wise, but Eddie Cheever is running up in the 233 bracket. That's why we haven't seen any more of him.
All right, in this battle for 4th place, we make it clear, just passing out a few, that car, the yellow and black car, in the front of those two, that is Hearn. No, wrong. That is Hearn now making the pass. Yellow roll bar. Two cars identical there.
Oh, that's hard to tell those two cars apart.
Scott Harrington is the other car. One is 4, one is 44. And while I've been trying to explain all of that, well, Zampedri in the all-red number 8 car has managed to pull a bit away. That's Robbie Buell that we had a glimpse of. Now they close back in. Buell has the black side pod. So now we have them back in contact. Zampedri, the number 8 car, and there is the 4 car of Richie Hearn.
Now just to stay a little bit more in contact with everything how it's going, you've got, of course, Guerrero leading it, Davy Jones the second, Buddy Lazier, who's back 9 seconds right now. But remember, keep in mind, Buddy only has to make one more stop. So do the other guy. So let's see how it's going to come out on the pit stop. That's going to be the story to the end.
And also one thing too, Bobby, right now the speed chart showing Guerrero and Jones are running at 229 miles an hour, while Lazier is working his way through traffic. He's going up and down from about that speed to as low as 219.
Oh, the traffic really hurts, Danny.
That traffic makes a big difference. And of course, Eddie Cheever just turned a lap at almost 235 miles an hour.
This race is, somebody else got a blown engine, it looks like here.
Yep, that's Jim Guthrie, another one of the rookies in the race, and he has some fluid coming out of the right front as well.
Nice, the right rear is on fire down there.
Yeah,
That's problems in the right rear.
So Jim Guthrie will limp back to the pits. It appears he's going to be okay, and he's going to make it safely back there.
That's our boy from Albuquerque, Jim Guthrie.
The green light remains on because he was able to get that car off of the racing portion of the course very quickly. Nice job by the driver of the 27 car, Jim Guthrie.
The fire's already gone out on the right rear there.
Let's go up. We'll take a look. There is the leader of the race. That's Roberto Guerrero. He is just 2.5 seconds ahead of Davy Jones. And there is our TM8 engine treatment speed chart. Roberto Guerrero, 229.6 miles an hour on the last lap. But that pace, with all the cautions, has dropped down the overall average to 142.8 miles an hour. Originally, they said Roberto was probably going to head for the pits, but the crew has apparently decided to hold off on that stop. So it's Guerrero, Jones 2.4 seconds back, and Buddy Lazier 16 seconds back behind the leader of the race. The battle between Zampedri and Richie Hearn, for the moment at least, has broken off. So we'll be back with more action from the Indy 500 after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
The 80th running of the Indianapolis 500 continues on ABC's Wide World of Sport.
Back at Indianapolis, here is the TM8 engine treatment race summary after 150 laps. While we keep track of Richie Hearn as he tries to chase down Alessandro Zampedri. Guerrero still the leader of the race, average speed 143.9. 4 different leaders, 9 changes of the lead, 8 caution periods, but not nearly a record. And cars out, the list is now getting longer and longer. Durant, Unser, John Paul Jr., Michele Alvarado, Johnny O'Connell, Johnny Parsons, Gregoire, Greco, Gardner, Stewart, Murphy, Gozick, Velez, Brock, and Dismore. Those are the drivers out of the race right now. There's Davy Jones as he circled underneath Lyondike, who heads for the pits. He's well off the pace. Jerry Punch?
Well, Paul, we went to commercial a moment ago, and Buzz Calkins was 8th. Now he stands with me. Buzz, does something suddenly happen to the car?
Yeah, I think we had a right rear upright go on us, and so I'd come down through turn 1 and 2, and the car was all over the place, so we just brought it in. I don't think we can do anything about it.
Not only does the race go away, but also the championship, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's what the most unfortunate thing is. You know, we were running in a position where we could have won the championship. Everybody else had dropped out, and so that's the frustrating point of it, but, you know, we'll get it next year.
Very talented young man. You'll be hearing his name a lot in the future. Buzz Calkins.
As a reminder, that reference to the championship is, as we have mentioned, that the IRL ends their racing season with the Indy 500. So that means it'll start in one year and end in the next year. And this is the end of the first IRL season. Guerrero, Jones. Jones is beginning now to really close down on Guerrero. We expect the leader to be in very shortly. Jack Arut's there keeping track of that story. There's the leader, Guerrero. See Jones sitting just back.
I'll tell you something else. Further down the field, they're a lap down, but Scott Sharp and Danny Ungaias are running some awful quick laps. They're both up around the 228, 229 mark. And, you know, they're only a lap off the pace.
Guerrero keeps holding out. I keep thinking he's going to pit just any minute. He keeps going another lap. It's going to be interesting to see how long. He's looking for a yellow. They're hoping that he gets a yellow flag for his pit.
Ari Lyondike tries to persevere. He stays in the car despite the fact that he has brought it in once again. We expect Guerrero in. Now, he last stopped on the 120th lap, but also Davy Jones stopped on the same lap. So would you assume that they follow one another in?
Well, you would. They've got to be pretty close. I would imagine their fuel consumption fairly close. That's a Ford Mercedes, but Bobby, something that you mentioned, you know, he's staying out there waiting for that yellow, but as we've seen, if the yellow comes out, Ari Lyondike in your upper right-hand corner of your screen getting out of his car, not the greatest day, but Bobby, if he does that, we've seen it wait 2 and 3 laps to be able to get in the pit. That could be cutting it too close.
Well, that's right, Danny. It's very dangerous to do that, but they desperately need a yellow. If one of them gets it and the others don't, they're all in trouble except for the guy that got it.
That's right.
So it's one of those gambles in racing that sometimes you have to take.
Eliseo Salazar running in 7th place comes in. That car continues to run despite his contact with Lyondike, who now finally climbs out.
Guerrero's
and here comes
Guerrero's
the leader of the race. As Roberto Guerrero comes off the track, gets it down under 100 miles an hour, which is just like crawling for him. And Roberto Guerrero is heading down toward Jack.
Now remember, 1 year he lost it right here in the pits on the last one.
And he's had 2 stalls in the pit so far today.
Jack Arut.
And guys, as we watch this stop, that's what comes to mind. Remember when he ran for Granatelli Racing, had the race in hand, and had a problem, the car stalling on the final stop? This should be the final stop for Roberto Guerrero. Very nominal. Don't see any changes on the car. There was some talk that they might adjust the tire pressure on the left rear, taking in all the fuel they possibly can. He lights up the tires in 18 18.7 seconds. And now here comes Davy Jones. This will be a battle on the next lap to see if Jones can be quicker than 18.7. Paul?
Roberto Guerrero gets over the nemesis. He stalled it on 182 in 1987, the 182nd lap. Here is Jones in.
And did you see here Roberto Guerrero? He was revving that engine. He was not going to stall it this time.
Jackaroo.
Now Davy Jones looking very, very good, taking on fuel. They haven't finished it. They dropped the jack. He is away in 16.1, so that's about a 2-second advantage for Gallus Racing.
And did you notice that both of them went out on sticker tires? That's that white looking tape that you see on the tires. They haven't run those in, so they're gambling that their tires also come back up and that there's no problem with them.
So those are brand new tires. Remember that Davy Jones won the pit stop competition held here earlier in the week. Got 2 seconds up on Roberto Guerrero with that stop. There's Roberto. Roberto just turned a very quick lap, but the real quick one is Richie Hearn.
Yeah, he's been running fast. He's been running fast for the lights.
Oh, boy, the yellow comes out. This is going to hurt. When?
Whoa, whoa. 2 cars together there.
Like Lynn St. James, we want to be careful on the identity of the other car. We think it might be Harrington, but as we said earlier, those cars, it looks to be the 44 car, the yellow and black one. That would be Harrington. So the yellow comes out, and it comes out at a time that serves the disadvantage of Roberto Guerrero.
You want to know how close it really was, troops, in figuring out, for example, Guerrero and Jones. I had it figured out on my side of the street over here where Guerrero might have had to stop without this yellow at 198 laps. Jones at 199 laps, of which they would have gambled and gone all the way.
Replay, as they came across the first turn, they got together.
Boy, I didn't see it at the beginning, but it looks like they got into it going into the corner, Bobby.
Yes, and unfortunately, Danny, I can't see any more than you did. We'll watch another replay here.
Oh, that's close right there.
Parts are everywhere. Just look at all the things the person could hit. There'd been a lot of cars there.
Yep.
Another way to look at it, camera mounted just on the outside of the wall. Boy, they lost it way before the apex.
I've got a feeling, Bobby, that what happened back there is somebody was, they were too abreast or close enough, and somebody tangled at the entrance to the corner, didn't see the other person.
That's exactly what I think. They touched it a little bit, causing both of them to get sideways.
Both drivers out of the car, Lynn St. James and Scott Harrington. They're walking Lynn over to the ambulance, but at least she's under her own power. Jackaroo.
Well, Paul, take a look at Ari Leyendijk's hand. You can see a bruise from wheel snap when you were involved in that accident. Give us your account of what happened exiting the pits, Ari.
It was a surprise to me that I got hit, but I would really like to see the tape before I make any comment. I thought I was in my lane. I thought I was where I was supposed to be. So it did us in. I think we were, I was doing a good job of just kind of staying up there up front, and my car was really pushing in traffic, and I was just biding my time, making it good in the pits. So, we were only halfway at that point, not even, and still so many laps to go. So, unfortunately, I stalled it in the pits. I guess a consequence of that was the crash leaving the pits. So. Maybe I should blame myself, but I'd like to see the tape first before I make any real comments on what happened out there, but it's a shame.
Paul, so many people said since his win, this was the best shot this man had to win the Indianapolis 500. Let's check in with Jerry Punch.
Well, Mark Dismore, you had some great laps out there, but finally called it a day back in the garage here. What happened?
Jerry, it looks like maybe we broke a rod, would be my guess. We're just puking a whole lot of oil out the bottom of the car, so I'd have to say a connecting rod probably let go.
What happened on the first lap when your car got a little squirrely there on the start?
I went down into one, and I know exactly what happened to Stan Fox now because it almost happened to me. I went down in there, and I'm telling you, it was like I was on ball bearings. There was a lot of turbulence. I mean, like nothing I've experienced before, and I guess that's why I'm a rookie here. The car got really sideways, and by the grace of God, I gathered it up and went on, and I really thought I had a flat tire. I went down into 3, and the car stepped out on me again, so I pitted. We put a set of tires on, took a couple of turns of front wing out of the car. From that point forward, the car was fantastic. I mean, I had a hell of a race car We were running 2:34, 2:33 lap times. I got a lap back. I was working on getting the other lap back. The guys were only 3 or 4 seconds ahead of me from getting my other lap back, and we would have had a shot at this thing for sure.
Mark Dismore's first start, and he learned a whole lot. Gary Gerald?
Well, Jerry, the two cars that were up front that made those stops just prior to the yellow, Davy Jones, Roberto Guerrero, has left Team Himmelgarn here, possibly in the catbird seat. Lee Koonsman has been talking. Ron Himmelgarn, the engineers, plotting strategy. They keep looking at the computer. They tell us they're getting excellent fuel mileage, and here we are now inside 40 laps to go. They think that they can hold it out to about lap 170 before they have to make what would be their final stop of the day. We're on 164 right now. Paul?
So, and let's go back. We still are not sure why this situation occurred between Harrington and Lynn St. James. This may help us. Harrington came right up into her.
2 abreast there, as we saw 2 abreast, and I can't tell whether Lynn turned down or Scott, but there just wasn't enough room on the racetrack for both of them.
And heavy damage to that car, but the good news is both drivers were able to walk away from this situation. If there's any medical update, we'll give it to you.
Is the pit open down?
But indeed, coming up next, we head to Texas for the final 9 holes of the J.C. Penney LPGA Skins game. Laura Davies yesterday won the most skins, 2 of them worth $40,000. But surely she will be tested today when the big money holes come up. It's all next here on ABC Sports. The first hole today is worth 6 skins, $160,000. Floating over the speedway and keeping track of the action, the Spirit of Akron, one of the 3 Goodyear blimps in its domestic fleet. It's docked at the corporate headquarters located in Akron, Ohio. There she is up over the track. Let's go to Jack Arute.
Well, Paul, here's the first tactics for this team and Roberto Guerrero. They are getting such good fuel mileage under yellow, over 5 miles to the gallon. Now John Barnes says with 2 laps to go, he may bring Guerrero in under this yellow period and top the fuel tank off. And then he should be able to go the distance. We'll watch for it.
Now that's what.
All right.
Now that's what Buddy Lazier's crew better do too, Jack. Because remember, right now, first in, first out. Now the crew should have thought of that.
So the stage is set for a most fascinating run to the finish at Indy.
Designated as one of America's national landmarks, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Museum keeps alive the history of the Indianapolis 500. Come visit with us and find out why the 500 is the greatest spectacle in racing.
It seems like everything's happening under caution here. Look at Roberto Guerrero as he pulls away, but you saw all that water? Well, there was a lot of action in the pits. Now, we're going to show you that in just a second. Some vapor at the back of Roberto's car. Here's the leader of the race, Buddy Lazier, and he's going to come in and top it off as well.
And 2 tires. It looks like they're just changing the tires. They're going to go for everything.
Gary?
Yes, indeed. They thought we were going to try to make it to lap 170. They're on the 167 complete, and it looks like routines. Oh, now wing change up at the front nose, and it appears to be a significant one. Car off the jacks, rolling. Not a good stop and a slow pickup. It was 19.3 on my clock.
Doesn't matter though,
Under
Gary.
yellow.
Because don't forget it's under yellow. That doesn't matter. He probably didn't lose a spot.
So let's go back now and we'll show you what happened just a few minutes ago to Roberto Guerrero. He was in for a routine stop, and Danny, you've been worried about those nozzles.
Yeah, and you saw the guy was having trouble getting the nozzle in. Obviously you saw some fire right there on the right rear. Everybody's dumping water. We're trying to get it out.
But look at Roberto. He stays with the car.
Well, he doesn't want to get out. If he's not being warmed up by the fire, so to speak, he's not going to get out. The guy's holding him right there saying, okay, but in a second you'll see him start to get out.
You saw Roberto. There's the nozzle, Danny.
Yeah, I tell you what, I've been worried about those things all week. They're new, they're fast, but I tell you.
And the Jack Arute?
Well, we've got a new nozzle going on. John Barnes engineering that right now. But if I can get my cameraman, we have the original nozzle here, guys. Now, let me show you what happened. You see the rounded edge? Right there. Now, when the fuel man went to put it in, you push it in, and you've got to turn it and push it again. But he came in at an angle, had trouble getting it in, kept trying and forgot to push it in. When he finally pushed it in, it malfunctioned, and there was a fire.
And Jack, let me ask you a question. They didn't get the fuel in the car, isn't that correct?
It was awfully hard to tell, Danny, because there was so much confusion, but from my vantage point, it looked like they didn't. And I'll tell you what, I don't have a lot of hair up here, but the fire singed what little left I had.
Well, was there anything else on the car, Jack, that you know of that burned? Was there any harm done to
they
it?
they were very fortunate there. In fact, what was really quick action by the crew really saved Roberto. Roberto was not in any danger at all. They got the water there, and now they're just going to try and get things gathered back up.
And do they have to stop one more time? Because if they didn't get that fuel in, he still has to make another stop.
I still think some of these guys are very close on their final stop, nevertheless. Davy Jones, the 70 car, it's white and black, trimmed in yellow. It's the leader of the race. Davy Jones is out in front, despite the fact he's down in the order. In second place, Alessandro Zampedri. And then Richie Hearn, the rookie, Buddy Lazier, and Roberto Guerrero. Those 5 cars are on the same lap, and so they are in this lineup behind the pace car. The next lap, then, 1 lap down, begins with Scott Sharp, followed by Salazar. Right now, there are 13 cars of the 33 that started still in the Indianapolis 500 with 32 laps to go. As the pace comes up again, Salazar is at the front, and he comes toward the green flag. Davy Jones tries to make a move to the inside, still trying. Salazar's taking him all the way to the wall. Took him all the way to the wall.
That's really not good. That's Salazar. 2 times now he's done that today.
And there goes Zampedri. Zampedri goes for the lead of the race, and Zampedri's got it.
And Davy looks like he's slowing down. He might be just gathering himself up. But Salazar obviously didn't want to lose another lap.
That's going too far. The officials are going to have to do something about driving like that.
That is so dangerous, Bobby. I can't believe that.
So Davy Jones gets pushed to the wall. Looked to me like he brushed the wall, no question. Alessandro Zampedri took advantage of that. He was able to move into the lead of the race. Jones drops back to second. He's right behind him. So we've got a great battle at the front as Jones is going to try him again. But we tie. Nope.
But say he's clearly faster because he's running these guys down there, all blocking him down the inside.
Now on the pit stops, my calculations show that Davy Jones, Gallus may gamble and try to go all the way. It's going to put him close. So let's see what Jack has to say.
Bobby Unser, you know Rick Gallus. I went and asked him, do you have to stop again? He said, we do not intend to.
That's a pretty open-ended answer out there. We do not intend to. Does that mean he's going to or not? I mean,
no, that means I know Rick Gallus. That means he's not going to do it. Davy Jones is going to run that car, either finish the race, try to win it, or he's going to be sitting on the sidelines, Danny. Up.
Alessandro Zampedri leads Indy. He becomes the 157th leader of the Indy 500. Jerry Bunch.
Well, Dr. Henry Bach has just come out of the Infield Medical Center. And Henry, Hank, what's the status of Lynn St. James and Scott Harrington?
Lynn St. James has multiple contusions on her extremities. We're going to send her down for precautionary x-rays. Scott Harrington is in good condition, has a bruise on his right shin. He'll be out of here shortly.
Okay, that's Dr. Henry Bach. Paul?
Lynn St. James, remember, this is the second year in a row that she's been eliminated in an accident down in the first turn. Zampedri, Jones, they're lined up as we run toward the finish of the Indy 500.
Well, Bobby,
here is what set that situation up. Jones moving to the inside of Salazar.
Yeah, he moves once, and he blocked him, and then he went another time, got a little bit more draft, and he just drove him down into the wall.
Salazar was so wrong, it's just terrible.
Yeah.
That type of driving has got to be stopped.
Yeah,
that could have been a very serious accident right there for no good reason.
Bobby, look where he is in the field. He could have taken out half the field right there if he had turned him sideways or he'd broken something there. That's just uncalled for.
We could never let motor racing come to such deals like that, Danny.
No, see, he got a run on him. Moved back in to get another draft, and then Salazar just drove him down the fence. Now, I think Salazar just didn't want to lose another lap. He was trying to get back on that lead lap, but that's just dangerous driving.
That shouldn't be an issue. So Davy Jones, apparently his car is just fine, which says something about the strength of these cars.
except it looks like Zampedri's just stretching it out a little bit. Davey was right behind him for quite a few laps there, and it looks like Zampedri's just going out there.
You know, their speeds aren't all that much. It's 223 miles an hour right now. We would expect a little bit more. So maybe Davey has a little bit more, for example, because his fuel is a little bit short right now.
Or maybe, Bobby, Davey's got a little bit of damage to that car. He's only running, Jones's last lap was a 225. He's picked it up a little bit, and Pedri was a 223, so he's obviously not complaining too much.
Yeah, Jones whittled away about 3/10. There it is, the change on the last lap, Gary Gerald.
And checking in on Alessandro Zampedri, Walter Gerber in radio contact with his driver. We're asking them, did you make the stop on the last yellow? Yes, they did. Are you okay to go the distance? Yes, but we are slightly concerned. He said it could be very close. Right now, the fuel mileage reading they're getting is, however, a healthy 2 miles per gallon. Anything over 1.8 puts them in a strong category. At least that's my belief, Paul.
I think they're all going to make it, Troop. I think we're going to have one heck of a good race to the end.
Well, I think it's going to be interesting whether they do or they don't, because it looks like if they don't, it's going to be maybe with the last mile or a half to go. 24 laps to go in the Indianapolis 500, and we are going to stay with you the entire way now as we watch a potential new champion, Alessandro Zampedri. He leads, but Davy Jones just nicked off another 2/10. So Davy's very definitely closing.
Well, the other thing is he might be able to get behind him. He still has to pass him. And Bobby, as you know, guys get awful tough toward the end of the Indianapolis 500 when it comes to getting past for the lead.
The closer it gets to the end, the harder they are to pass. And, you know, I always used to have a rule, don't ever make an issue or make it come to an issue at the latter part of the race. If you're going to break them early. As far as passing guys, do it before they have a chance to get all that adrenaline running.
Let's go to Jack Arute.
Let's update you first on Roberto Guerrero. The question mark still remains, did they take on enough fuel to go the distance? Alan Begg and John Barnes still trying to calculate that using the onboard telemetry. Meanwhile, no reports from Davy Jones to Rick Gallis as to any problems mechanically on the car. But this time when I asked Gallis again, can you go the distance, he said, I'm beginning to think we might come up short.
Alessandro Zampedri last year started 17th, finished 11th in the Indianapolis 500. This is his second year, but look at the interval as Davy Jones continues to whittle it down. Update on Zampedri and his fuel, Gary?
Well, yeah, a radio conversation monitored between the crew and the driver. They're urging him, if he can, to stay in the draft, which tells me they're very concerned about whether or not he can go to the 200-lap mark.
You know, these cars have already done, Gary and everybody, have done 40 laps before most of them. They're all the same engine, so theoretically, they should make it all right.
What you're looking at here, there is Hearn as he is trying to chase down Guerrero. It's a battle for fourth place now, and Hearn's beginning to reel him in. And the last lap, the TMA 8 engine treatment update, 219 miles an hour for Richie Hearn.
But the lap before that, he had actually run 226. All the first 5 guys are running about the same laps. A lot of it depends on how they are in traffic. And one thing you said, Bobby, that's true is that, of course, all these guys got pretty much about the same engines and the same consumption. So if one of them's going to have to stop, more than likely the other ones are too.
At the front, Zampedri is being closed by Jones, now down to 6/10. Jones continues to whittle away while Hearn works on Guerrero. In the meantime, Buddy Lazier sits in 3rd place, and he's not involved in a contest on either side.
That's right, but he's also turning laps. He just turned a lap 227, and then I looked down at Richie Hearn started running 228, while Guerrero was at 225, and Zampedri and Jones are in the 223 mark.
And Buddy Lazier is moving up. The problem is like we said all along, it's sometimes easier to move up than it is to pass, and that's where Buddy's going to have a problem.
Just crossing the 180th lap, heading for lap 181.
I think all these pit stops, if everybody notices how touchy it gets on fuel consumption and everything, all has to do with teamwork. We always talk about it, but that starts showing you how important. For example, in Lazier's deal, he should easily be leading the race. The problem was that Lee Kuzman brought him in too late. The old rule, Danny, like I said, first in, first out. Those guys should know that because they've been going at it a lot of years.
You got a glimpse there. Looks like we're getting some bottoming on Guerrero's car now.
Well, we are. He's got that down low, but I thought I heard something, which out of Richie Hearn's car was the rev limiter when he was being drafted down the straight by Guerrero. Now that'll be interesting because that'll mean he can get up to him, but he can't necessarily pass him.
Well, Hearn is right there right now. Zampedri Jones has kind of stabilized at 0.7 of a second behind the leader of the race, Alessandro Zampedri.
Yes, but Buddy Lazier is turning laps up there in the 228s, so he's going to be closing down on him.
Lazier is moving up about a second a lap.
And Lazier is now 3.4 seconds behind the leader. Oh, it's just great.
And let's not forget the cars get awful tough to pass when it comes down to the last 20, 15, 10 laps.
You know, they don't handle as good, Danny. They're light on fuel.
Look at Hearn. Look at Hearn. Hearn got right up behind Guerrero. Almost got him. At the same time, you watch the numbers change at the top of the screen on Zampedri and Jones. And Jones is now only 0.4 back.
Shows how tough it is to pass him. He's drafting him awful well down there. He's running a little bit quicker, but he's got to be able to get by.
You can see how important the drafting is because they look like a snake going down the road.
The interval between Guerrero and Hearn is 1/10 of a second. And Jones now right behind Zampedri. Zampedri, that red number 8. And Davy Jones, the black and white number 70, just behind him.
Traffic is going to play a critical part, it looks like, toward the end of the race.
Jones closing in. Look at the difference as he was closing, just inching further forward. But here's something to consider. In the 79 previous runnings of the 500, 12 times the driver leading with 10 laps to go has not won the race. An additional 12 leading at lap 180 have also not won at the 500.
And if fuel is going to affect any of them, it could be just most all of them, Paul.
Oh, and it looks like Richie Hearn passed Guerrero.
He got him and got him big time.
Look at that. We didn't see the pass, but boy, he's moved right out in front of him.
So Hearn moves into 4th place. It's Zampedri, Jones, Lazier, Hearn, and Guerrero. 5 cars on the lead lap. There is Richie Hearn. What a nice, smooth day he's had. Formula Atlantic champion, comes out of a road racing background, but has found his way around Indianapolis.
Davy Jones doesn't seem to be pressing it with them Pedri. He just seems to be following, using a good draft. My idea there is that they're a little short on fuel. He's trying to conserve some. Gallus is going to give him the go-ahead later on and see if he can pass.
And here is the fight for the lead as they close down on the green and white car of Eliseo Salazar. That red car, of course, is Zampedri. And Jones is chasing. Dropped back a little bit in the past couple of laps. That's through traffic.
Could be through traffic. But you know what? We also heard from Zampedri that they said stay in the draft as much as possible. Maybe that's what Davy's doing, is just sitting back there for a little bit longer to conserve a little bit more fuel.
Salazar just ahead. Zampedri and Jones, the battle for the lead. Now back down under half a second.
Track is still good. The track is still fast.
Bobby, these guys are turning up some fast times. They're running 224s, 226s. And Richie Hearn's up there in the 228 mark, of course, he's got the most ground to make up. But they're driving quick.
And they're real light on fuel. And that really makes the cars hard to handle at the latter part of the race when the track is a little bit slippery.
But I still think they're going to be very close on fuel. What about it, Jackaroo?
Well, we're just going to ask Rick Gallus real quick. What do you think?
It's going to be real tough. We're going to need some help.
Drafting important right now. May account for the reason why he hasn't made a real assault on the lead yet.
I I got a feeling that the help that he was talking about was maybe more of a yellow. And the problem is you can't back off. You got to run these speeds. They're running not necessarily wide open, but they're running pretty fast. How about down to you, Gary?
Well, Danny, one of the advantages of having 7 cars in this race for Team Scandia is that hopefully, when you need to conserve fuel, you can draft with one of your teammates. That's exactly what they're trying to arrange right now for Alessandro Zampedri. They're trying to get Eliseo Salazar, who is down a lap, to slow down a little bit so that Zampedri can draft. They say the fuel situation is still touch and go for the race leader.
Well, remember, if you run out of fuel, like coming around where I am in turn 2, you can't coast all the way around the start-finish line and get it. So it really could cost a race.
And Bobby, I think we're talking about this draft, and I mean, it might save you a little fuel, but I don't think it's going to save you that much. And I sure hate getting in a situation with trying to stage a draft with your teammate.
I don't think that'd be good either, Danny. I agree with you totally. You know, winning is so important here. You can understand why these guys have to play it close. You know, you sometimes have to take a gamble.
Not sometimes, all the time you gamble at Indy.
Whoa, and he's running up high there. Zampedri ran up high. And look at Davey.
And Davey Jones said maybe that's the fuel story there as Jones comes to the front.
There seems to be no reason why Zampedri moved out. First, I thought maybe he ran out of fuel, sucked a little bit of air there, but they won't regain the fuel pressure that quick. So he's
got a handling problem, Bob. He's running up high in the groove, and Buddy Lazier is right behind him.
So Jones takes the lead. Buddy Lazier now closes on Zampedri, and no real indication, though Danny suggests it's handling. And look at Lazier. Boy, there's an interesting move. He comes to the outside.
What a pass. What a pass on the outside.
10 laps to go at Indianapolis. Leader change.
Zampedri was trying to hold him off and wanted to block him, but there was no holding off Buddy. He's running awful fast.
But Zampedri really drove good and let Buddy earn that pass and did it with all fairness.
Yeah, but Jones is not out of the woods. You saw him as he just passed out of view. There he is up in the corner of the screen. And I'll tell you what, I think Lazier is able to reel him in.
And I don't think Lazier, for example, has any problem with the fuel. He's just had tough times with the traffic he's had it back.
Well, he's been back there, Bobby, but as I've been saying, he's been running faster laps by about 3-4 miles an hour than the leader.
Well, what about the fuel in Lazier's car, Jerry Punt?
Ron Hemmelgarn just told his driver, said, buddy, we have absolutely no worries. We have plenty of fuel. Use your right foot and go after him.
Whoa, that is a very confident statement to tell a race car driver, and especially when Rick's probably telling Davey he's got to be conservative.
Well, but Lazier did stop 7 laps later than Davey Jones, so I assume he can go after him, Jackaroo.
Danny Sullivan, you're leading the Indy 500, and you get this report from your car and go to full lean. What does it mean?
That means you're going to not make it to the end. He wants you to conserve some fuel, and you got to lean it down. That's not the signal you wanted to get when you got Buddy Lazier all over you, right behind you.
And that's what Rick Gallis just radioed.
Here comes Lazier. Lazier throws it on Jones. He moves to the inside of him, and Buddy Lazier picks up the lead of the 500 with 8 laps to go.
You can see how important it is. There is nothing like the excitement you get at the end of the Indy race.
There's Buddy Lazier's girlfriend as Buddy Lazier picks up the lead of the race. Unbelievable. They tell Jones to lean it back or he's not going to make the finish. Can you imagine what it had to feel like? I can't reach down and flip that switch to lean.
That means he's got to do that, Paul, plus he's got to run the high gear ratio, the overdrive.
Davey Jones' wife.
Look at the tension.
Concern.
We always have excitement like that at the end.
Buddy Lazier, 7 laps to go. And you know what?
And I'll tell you what, Buddy
Another engine just blew over here in turn 2. One of the Buicks just ventilated right here going by me.
Yeah, but
and I'll tell you what, Buddy Lazier just turned a lap of 2:32.9. He's obviously using that right foot.
And the general approach of the USAC officials, Keith Ward, the chief steward in the gang, would be to decide whether or not that car is in jeopardy And after the 10 lap from the finish threshold is passed, they tend not to go yellow because they want to keep the race moving all the way to the finish.
There's no liquids on the track over here. There's some way down low, Paul, but nothing that would bother any of the other cars.
Well, we're still green. Lazier coming up on traffic now. Jourdain just ahead of him.
You think he's feeling that back pain right now?
He's not going to feel any back pain.
I don't think so.
That kid's got to be in his glory right now.
5 laps to go at Indianapolis. Don't forget, the LPGA skins coming up right after, and we're yellow. It's Scott Sharp. Scott Sharp catches the wall at Indy. Fire on the back of the car. That's just an oil fire on the turbocharger, but the yellow comes out. And what are the chances that we'll get green? I think they're good.
Well, it doesn't look like there was a lot of debris there. He looked like he was more parked over there, so I think you're probably right. We'll get a green. Buddy Lazier's right behind it. But even if those other guys stop for fuel, they're going to be too far behind.
And guys, remember, we have 2 incidences on the racetrack. It may take a little bit longer because they're going to try to get the Menard engine on the back straightaway away at the same time.
Well, I'm assuming as we take a look at the replay, going into 1, this is Scott Sharp.
Boy, just looks like he lost it there.
So maybe, Bobby, right there in front of you, is it maybe slick from the engine earlier?
I don't see any signs of it whatsoever, Paul. I see no problems down here, and none of the other cars have been moving around in my section.
Buddy Lazier, hand up in the air, exercising his fingers. He's been gripping that wheel solidly.
That might have a little bit to do with nerves right now. He's not very far away from winning the 500.
If Lazier can win this race, this will be the 2nd year in a row the winner has come from the 5th starting position. The difference this year, of course, Buddy Lazier in the practice for the race at Phoenix slammed the wall hard, broke his back, fractured vertebrae, but he's worked hard to come back in just a short time, barely 2 months. And now with 4 laps to go, with the help of a special seat that absorbs the shocks in the car, he may be on his way to winning the Indianapolis 500. Davy Jones is separated by 1 car, and that's the 22 car of Michel Jourdain. But now does the order become to Jones, go to full Rich, and just go for it?
Well, it depends on how close they were, and then Rick Scott Gallus has to gamble. Are we going to lose 2nd place, or do we have enough to chase him down for the lead? Does this yellow help us enough? It looks like we'll probably get a green with maybe 2 laps to go.
And it still takes time to get these cars off the road, as you can well see there.
Bobby, what do you think they'll do? Will they try to bring it around or just tuck it in between the wall there?
They're going to try to tuck it in, Paul. They've got to do that. There they go with it right now. They realize that they need a green finish.
Championship races for sure. 50 or so.
We could get the green flag shortly.
If
1 or 2 laps to the finish.
You know, Paul, my senses tell me if there's any way that they can do it, they'll always try to finish this race under the green. Buddy Lazier is exercising. He's trying to get blood circulation doing. He's been doing this all day, and especially down in our end down here.
And Bobby, I think it probably has a little bit to do with nerves too. I mean, don't forget, he's got a yellow. He's going to go green with 2 laps. He's running fast, and he's that close to not only winning his first IndyCar race, but an Indianapolis 500.
Gary Gerald, what can they do with Davy Jones?
Well, that's what we're about to find out. Rick Gallus, it looks like you may get 1 green lap. Is there anything you can do with Davy Jones to still win this thing?
Well, I'm just going to tell him to go for it. If he runs out of gas, Jerry, then, Gary, I mean, we just did the best we could. We didn't come here to finish anything but first, and he's done a great job today, and we gambled, and we may win, we may lose. Let's find out.
Right, the nerves on the ragged edge, Jerry.
19 years, Ron Himmelgarn, you've been coming here. You're 3 laps away. What does this mean to you?
It's just a thrill. You know, after all these years and all the support I've had from my sponsors, especially Delta Faucet, the crew's been with me a long time. You know, we deserve this win, and Buddy's doing a heck of a job, and I just hope he can bring it home. We got a couple laps. We're going to go green next time by. I'm going to have to get going here, but thanks, world. This shows where the stars are and where the cars are right here in Indianapolis.
where they belong, and they will stay here year after year. And thanks everybody for attending.
Ron Himmelgarn, guys.
All right. So Davy Jones going to have to try and make it. Davy Jones has lagged back a little bit. We expect the green flag next time by. Is Davy looking for a run on the leader?
I think he's got to be. He's got to be
So when
drawing
he comes around, it's only going to be, when he comes around, Troops, there's only going to be one lap to go. So it's really, really, really going to be, you can't miss a shift. You can't jump the pace car like Scott Goodyear did last year. There's really a lot of thinking got to go in with Buddy right now.
And so much that can go wrong. Dwayne Sweeney, 17th year as a starter here at Indianapolis. This will be his last checkered flag. Pace car moves away. One car separating Lazier from Davy Jones, second place. Richie Hearn is in third, but he's back in that order. So now the pace begins to pick up. Jones will be looking for an ability to move on it. And then he's saying, come on, go now, go now, go now. Lazier being careful, comes back to the green flag. Green and white at the same time. 1 lap to go. 2.5 miles in the 80th running of the Indy 500. Buddy Lazier screams down toward turn 1. Jones doesn't seem like he can make a move on him. Onto the backstretch.
Looking good coming out of here.
Jones still looking for a chance to move. He's trying to get around Jourdain. He's around him now, in contact with the leader. The third turn, 1 to go at Indianapolis. Buddy Lazier taking a look at the fourth turn, comes off the fourth corner. And the checkered flag lies just ahead as Buddy Lazier takes the checkered flag and wins the Indianapolis 500. Firestone's first win since 1971. And a crash on the finish. Big crash on the finish of the race. Salazar, looks like Zampedri, and Guerrero. The cars that were running 4th, 5th, and 6th all crashed together at the end of the race. And Salazar looking down at his feet to make sure they're okay. So a battle that was developing really for 4th place. There's the 2 participants in the battle that aborted itself just before the finish. Has Buddy Lazier. What an incredibly great victory. He takes his win at the Indianapolis 500-mile race. Here are the unofficial results as Buddy Lazier has taken the win.
The 80th running of the Indianapolis 500. This special presentation on ABC's Wide World of Sports. Brought to you by Genuine Chevrolet, the cars more Americans trust. New Miller Beer, the brand new beer from Miller with big flavor that goes down easy. Goodyear, #1 in tires. And Valvoline Durablend, the #1 selling semi-synthetic motor oil.
Here in Victory Lane, the hallowed grounds of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Buddy Lazier, racked with pain, trying to lift himself right out of the car, getting the congratulations of his crew. Remember, his back looked like a hard-boiled egg smashed on the ground, so many fragments after the terrible crash at Phoenix. But his father came up and was the first to congratulate him. Another second-generation driver. His father qualified here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, but now his son has found his way to winning the 80th running of the Indy 500. It's a slow process for Buddy Lazier, and I think we might literally have our first interview with the driver still sitting in the car because it is indeed so painful. Buddy, finally, a win in the Indianapolis 500. When did you begin to dream about this?
Before I can remember. It's just, right now, it still feels like a dream. It feels like I'm going to wake up and I need to go to the racetrack to get ready to race.
Well, let's conclude the rest of the dream with the ceremonial crowning of you. As you stand up, you can see the pain, but this is happy pain as the Borg Warner Trophy has been placed behind Buddy Lazier and now the winner's wreath. Young man, you join an elite group now as a winner of the Indianapolis 500.
I'm sorry?
Welcome to the Indy 500 winner's circle.
it's awesome. Awesome.
Is it sunk in yet? You're awfully low-key right now. One would think you'd be really genuinely excited, and you're just kind of standing here with a big smile.
No, it hasn't sunk in. It's not going to sink in for, I'm sure, a week or two. It's unbelievable.
When you came here and saw your father compete and qualify, and I know you've got the pain, so sit back down in the car. This is truly an athletic achievement, but when you saw your father qualify, did you ever think that you would actually win the race?
I don't know, you dream about it and you feel like you've got some ability, but you have to have a car like these guys, Himmelgarn Racing, Delta Faucets, and Montana gave me a great race car.
Well, congratulations. Celebrate now with the ceremonial swig of milk, and let's go back to the tower.
His first IndyCar win, and it's the one that counts, the Indianapolis 500. But as he was crossing the finish line, taking the checkered, Roberto Guerrero lost control.
Spins there, and he gets up into the
Look at Zampedri.
Whoa, I've never seen that red car get up like that into the fence. He's upside down still right there. Now he hits Salazar. He's still upside down, and it flips him back over. Unbelievable. Unbelievable accident right there.
Another look at it. Here comes Guerrero. He loses it.
He just loses it. Whoa.
Whoa. Up so high over the top of the camera.
And those two guys were, look at that. The force in that just took those unbelievable accidents.
Now that hit on the fence by Zampedri, flipping upside down, was unbelievable. This is from Salazar's car. Roberto loses it down to the left. Comes across.
Look at that.
Salazar literally goes under it.
Look at him duck. Did you see him duck?
Unbelievable.
He ducked his head.
Drives under it and then is hit from behind, but that hit puts him right side up. Let's go to Gary Gerald.
Davy Jones finishing up an interview here with the Speedway Radio Network. Davy, I've got to ask you about this situation when you come so close to winning this great race. Are you bitterly disappointed, or are you satisfied with a great second place finish, the best of your career here?
Well, I'm ecstatic, I mean, to finish second place is just phenomenal here at Indianapolis. Yes, I'm disappointed because, the whole Delco Electronics, Gallus High-Tech team, they did a phenomenal job all month, and we really controlled this race, and I think that it was our race. I only made one mistake. I tried to get by Eliseo Salazar on the start, and he stuffed me along the wall on the pit straightaway, and it knocked the balance of the car out a little bit that we worked all race to get there for the end. So I just tried to make the most of what we had, and my congratulations to Himmelgarn and Buddy Lazier.
Thanks, Davey. Jerry?
Take a look at the aftermath behind me of that final lap crash involving three cars. Roberto Guerrero's car, what's left of it, has ended up on pit road. We have just talked to John Barnes a moment ago, and Barnes has told us that Guerrero is okay, and we have been told that Zampedri has a wrist and leg injury and will be taken to the care center. And also they said Salazar has been taken to the hospital to be checked out, but thus far we have no confirmation of any serious injuries up here as yet.
Boy, that's terrific news. Now, as the celebration goes on in the victory lane here at Indianapolis in front of the Master Control Tower, should there be any change in any of those reports that we've given you on Salazar or Guerrero or Zampedri, we will come back and give you an update on that during the skins. Now here's the TM8 engine treatment race summary at the conclusion of the race. Buddy Lazier takes his first win at 147 miles an hour. Not nearly a record. That still belongs to Ari. 5 different leaders, 15 different changes, 10 caution periods, and that's not near a record either, but it sure contributed to the running of the race. And at the finish we had 13 cars still running in competition, and the final results, of course, they are unofficial, and they'll be posted, and then after that there is a period during which there can be protests, but it's not expected today. Buddy Lazier takes the Indy 500, followed by Jones, Hearns, Zampedri, Roberto Guerrero, Eliseo Salazar, Danny Ungayas, Hideki Matsuda with a good run. Robbie Buell also on Gaius' run spectacular. Scott Sharp, Eddie Cheever, Davey Hamilton in 13th place. Rookie Michelle Jourdain, then Lynn St. James, who was involved in that accident with Scott Harrington. Ari Lyondike, Buzz Calkins, Jim Guthrie. 19th, Mark Dismore, Mike Croft, Fermin Velez, Joe Gosick, Brad Murphy, and Tony Stewart. Rayson Gardner, Marker Greco, Stefan Gregoire, Johnny Parsons Jr., Johnny O'Connell, Michele Alboreto, John Paul Jr., Paul Durant, and Johnny Unser. So unofficially, here is how the points shakes out in the IRL Championship. Co-champions, a tie. Scott Sharp, Buzz Calkins, both at 246 unofficially in the tiebreaker. So there they are, two champions, Calkins and Sharp. But the champion of the Indianapolis 500 is Buddy Lazier. What a great day as he's cheered to the finish and the victory. Buddy Lazier has taken the Indy 500. It'll sink in, and there will not be a more deserving champion. He is a super young man. Buddy Lazier wins Indy.